Yeah, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to our broadcast, day 2 of Insomnia65, brought to you by Marketplace TF, Insomnia themselves, and of course broadcasted by Essentials TF. I'm your host, Axstein, joined by Alba and Eeply. How you guys doing today, Alba?
All good.
Excellent. And Eeply?
Sort of slightly less good, you know, a little bit tired. Some of the games yesterday went kind of, slightly longer than we expected.
Yeah.
We had some good opportunities to meet up with everyone, but I feel like I'm rested enough, you know? I feel like the teams are rested enough, you know? Not everyone stayed too late. I feel like they took some of the important advice from yesterday, not to go too hard.
Yeah, there was some thought that we might have some tiebreakers, but I know a set NA were able to bounce out kind of early. In fact, we actually have a little video rundown of yesterday's action with some good frag clips and just an overall summary. So let's take a peek at that right now.
They could have pushed if they'd gotten Lucas there, but...
Trying to come in. Look at the damage, Lucas!
Oh, the pipes.
Oh! That's a smash out of phase. Good work from Lucas there. Papi actually...
But Stark's playing the point, and the bombs come in whilst Stark is distracting here. Cadis putting some stickies down on the point. The kills are going either way for these teams. Cadis really weak, and Riverside, as all these respawns are coming in now for Feint. They're just holding on to this point as Cadis and Raymond versus the world. Cadis has so much cap time. Can Raymond get the saw? He gets one saw. It's just against Classy. Oh no!
God! Oh my God! He nearly got Classy there. He got another. If he got another sword, he'd be pretty like.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was a great rundown of the action yesterday. Shout out to our production crew for scrapping that together. Fantastic clips, fantastic plays. Running over those group stage results, which we saw the final standings of the invite groups. What are some of your guys' thoughts on overperforming teams as well as perhaps underperforming teams? Alba?
So I think Aura and top 5 didn't really reach the peak that they wanted to. Luckily for them, it's the group. They still have time to get their things together for the playoffs. But on the other hand, you have a team like Big Bloke LAN, who has done very well in the groups and perhaps maybe peak too early. We'll have to see.
In the top half of that group, though, in those top four, was there somebody there that you felt like didn't quite bring as much as they would have liked?
I think the way it turned out is somewhat expected, at least. I mean, going into this event, it was like 1 to 4. It's a randomizer who will end up where. So kind of expected, I would say.
Your thoughts on that, Eeply? People that performed outside of your expectations yesterday?
More or less what Alba said. I think the Big Block Land team, they were looking really, really good. Kind of, you know, I was definitely expecting the 7th and 8th spots to be kind of pretty secure, but they really, really turned up. Like, I mean, I guess you could have predicted a little bit. You have a lot of kind of very established LAN players, the kind of guys who like they do step up on LAN. They do start playing really, really well. But even still, it was really nice to see it happen. On a personal level, I thought top 5 were going to show up a little bit more. I was making some bold predictions pre-LAN that they were going to have like some good group stage games, and you know, I may have been slightly too bold with my predictions, but you know, it's been interesting to see. Like I said, in terms of top 4, like all of those teams, like going into this, we made some kind of predictions that it was going to be like an absolute kind of mess, like a bloodbath. Everyone's going to be like, you know, at each other's throats, and that's exactly what happened. There was a tiny kind of little bit in my head where I kind of thought that really any one of 7, Ascent NA, and Feint really could have just had an absolute kind of blowout group stage. I didn't really want it to happen. I'm far, far happy it ended up like this. But a little part of me thought either one of those 3 teams could just kind of run away with things entirely. But obviously, it's not what happened at all. We're in this like ridiculous situation where one team could, you know, has seemingly beat another on a best of 1, but it's only a best of 1. It's only on one map. It's, you know, only specifically on that day. And then when they're playing each other again, like it's so difficult. Like I think today is the kind of day where we start seeing that it's kind of what each team has in terms of consistency, in terms of, you know, actually over these best of 3s, and kind of actually seeing a little bit more what they have planned out, other than the not kind of randomness, but the craziness that happens at best of 1s.
Yeah, we saw some pretty tight matches as well, with Feint being able to pull off the draw versus 7. Also, 7 having a great comeback at the end of the night. Our last match to wrap up the action. I think it was 2 seconds left on the clock when I got that
ridiculous.
capture. Yeah.
Somehow that's like something which 7 has now done twice at an I series, literally capping Granary last with like 0 time left to go. I mean, I don't know how you get typecast into that role, but somehow they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad role to be in. Of course, today with the best of 3 series, there's no room for draws. You know, we're going to go straight into a golden cap afterwards. Alba, do you think that 7 is the team here? I mean, they have been sort of the overall favorites coming in. Do you think that the best of 3 allows them to have an advantage? Or do you think that actually, you know, the other teams that are going in there will be able to massage the map pick process to make sure that they actually are going to play maps where 7 is perhaps a little bit vulnerable on?
Yeah, I think these top 4 teams are so close to each other. I was speaking a little bit with the Ascent NA guys yesterday, and they think that their map pool is really deep as well. So like a 7 Ascent NA, I don't think the map pool will matter too much. I don't think 7 will have a big advantage on it, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens.
Now, we were broadcasting the invite groups yesterday, but there was also the open playoffs that were going on. The cutoff line there was actually pretty close. There was a bunch of teams that were lurking around that 6 points level. It ended up being 8 points out of their Swiss format that they needed to get through. Eeply, did you take a look at that? Were there some surprises there, or do you feel like at least some of those results were pretty straightforward?
I kind of haven't seen it super in depth. I've kind of had a little looks here and there. Like I said, obviously we did mostly focus on the invite group, but there wasn't anything which kind of absolutely crazy. Any kind of crazy occurrences, really. We're in a situation where kind of the invite group is really, really stacked full of really good teams, and the open group is, not to say that kind of like less so, but there's kind of slightly fewer this year kind of mixes. It seems to be kind of so many of the top players have just kind of conglomerated onto these really, really good teams. So, you know, I mean, like we've ended up in a situation where the bus crew, as everyone expected, they're top seed through the open groups. You know, they're going to be in that 9th seeding spot, so they're going to be going up against the Frenchies just a little bit later on today. So that more or less as expected. Most of the other games, I feel like it's going to be, you know, I don't want to be cruel to them, right? But this is going to be like the breakfast for a lot of the invite teams, you know. This is just going to be where they wake up a little bit, practice their DM a bit, but ultimately I can't imagine there's going to be any real crazy upsets other than perhaps our 8th and 9th game.
Yeah, certainly, and that is the game that we will be heading into towards next. Bus Crew versus the Frenchies, as we've called them. But there's some other French teams. So Corentin Mass Damage,
That's the one.
their true name. Alba, what are your thoughts on this matchup? The Bus Crew were a team that I believe actually basically didn't get into the invite group because they were a little bit unsure about their attendance. They ended up, pulling through, which is admirable for a team to, show up, challenge themselves at the Global Championships. Do you think the Bus Crew have this on lock, or will the Frenchies be able to take their lessons from yesterday, reform, and put up a good match for us here?
I think that the Bus Crew has a small advantage going into this because they are kind of the underdog coming from the open bracket.
Yeah.
And they're coming off all victories from the open bracket. Meanwhile, we have Quarantine Mass Damage, who lost every game yesterday, and they only had like one game where they got a few rounds.
Yeah.
So they're going to be feeling pretty rough. So I would say that the Bus Crew has the momentum going for them.
Thoughts from you on this, Epley?
Yeah, I think exactly what Alba said. Like, Bus Crew's going to be feeling pretty good. They had like an absolutely fantastic day yesterday. They're really going to start feeling themselves. They kind of got used to that land environment and know they can kind of, make their things work. The Frenchies, I really don't feel like you can count them out. Like, reasonably speaking, they wouldn't have gone into the invite group thinking, oh yeah, we're going to pound, we're going to be like first, second seed. They will have expected to have a really difficult first day. But at the same time, there's a lot of drive behind teams when they end up in this situation, because losing to Bus Crew at this point makes it really, really precarious for them to continue in the competition. And you never want to be that invite group team that gets knocked out by an open group team. Regardless of who the opponent is, you never want to be that like bottom one who starts off like around 8 and then doesn't even stay in, right? That's going to be a significant issue. But that being said, there's a lot of talent on the Bus Crew team. There's a lot of really, really good players. Again, like a lot of really, really good LAN players as well. So many of these guys are like established veterans of playing, I-Series after I-Series. And I feel like it is going to be really, really hard. I don't see any world in which we don't go to 3 maps.
Interesting. And to speak a little bit more about the format today, will be best of 3s. Also, our game plan is we're going to be doing upper bracket round 1, round 2, round 3, and then we'll be able to pop into the lower bracket, check out what at that point will be the lower bracket semifinals, and then I believe we will be doing the upper bracket finals before the end of the night. That'll be our final matchup. Some thoughts from you, Alba, on just kind of what we might expect rolling forward. Some of these teams, I did take a peek at it. If we do believe that, our top 4 invite group teams are going to be holding it down and not really facing too much opposition from these open group teams that they'll be facing, the bracket is set up so that we would have 7 versus Ascent EU, while Feint seem kind of likely to be taking on Ascent NA. Just some brief previews. What do you think of those matchups?
It's so hard to predict where those matches will go. It all depends on how the players are feeling, if they're feeling comfortable and will perform. It's pretty hard to predict. I think we can expect the open teams to have a very rough time. I think Bus Crew are the ones that could potentially get a little bit further, but the rest of the open teams are more than likely probably going to drop down to the lower bracket and then knock each other out.
Epley, do you have any thoughts on how the seeds kind of ended up in these teams, how the bracket's looking for some of these teams as it gets further into it?
Yeah, I think now we're seeing a best of 3 for Ascent EU and 7. That's going to be really, really interesting because suddenly the strategy of the picks and bans come into things a lot more. There's a significant amount of maps for Ascent EU where they really desperately don't want to play 7 on. They do not want a repeat of Badlands in the ETFL Grand Finals. Absolutely nowhere at all. Whereas obviously on the Feint and Ascent NA side of things, it's going to be a little bit different because they're not going to know each other's maps quite as well. And I think that game in particular is going to be a really, really interesting kind of matchup just because like they've had this day one to feel each other out. They can check some of the logs, check back some of the demos. I'm sure some of them have been kind of, checking each other out over the kind of, over last night and even maybe a couple hours this morning. But they won't have that same level of knowledge in terms of people's kind of map choices than 7 and Ascent EU. So I think it's going to be 2 really, really different matchups there. I think ultimately for the Ascent EU and 7 game, 7 are going to be favored, but Ascent EU, they're just going to have to be really, really careful with the maps they let in.
Speaking on one of the things that you touched on there, team's preparation for moving forward. Alba, as a former player, and I mean, you're not playing at this event, but I'm sure you're going to get back on a team at some point. Between the two, what do you prefer, to spend more time scouting your opponents and what their strategies are, or to look back at your own games and think about, okay, well, what can we do to tighten things up? Because, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to be you, you know, throughout the rest of the tournament. And, you know, figuring out your own problems can help out a lot, no matter who the opponent is.
Usually at this point of the tournament, you have a decent understanding how each team plays. So personally, I would be focusing on my own game, you know, making sure I get proper warmed up, I had a good night's rest, and yeah, just feel energized.
Eeply, do you got any thoughts on that same subject?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends a little bit what your team philosophy is, you know. If you're a really, really solid team, you know, which has been together for seasons and seasons, I feel like you can afford to kind of counter-strat a little bit more. Whereas if you're some of these teams like kind of Bus Crew, which has been thrown together a bit more for the event, you know, maybe it's a case of, you know, even teams like Seven, you know, Celentis is still fairly new to the roster. They've had some significant shakeups, you know, they've had a season to get together, but at this point they might be feeling, actually, we want to dedicate the time to ourselves more because we think that we need to work on our own game. I think it kind of comes a bit more down to your team philosophy, whether you kind of feel like you need that extra bit of time to work on your own team stuff at LAN. Because we did mention yesterday how the ability to kind of communicate with a team and kind of fix problems at LAN is completely different, you know? You're there, you've got all 6 of you, you're gathered around a screen, you can say, okay, in this situation, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this. Whereas online, sometimes things can be lost in translation.
Right.
You know, and it's really, really valuable making those improvements here at LAN.
And we got a little bit more time to kill here as players just kind of getting finalized. Alba, do you want to share any thoughts in general about day one and Insomnia? You know, hype it up for the audience at home here.
I mean, the best thing I can say is that when the day ended, I had no idea which team was where in the no clue.
Yeah, pretty much.
I had an idea of like, okay, the top 4 teams are in the top 4, probably 7 towards the top, but other than that, I had no clue.
I guess also as well, let's talk about some individual performers. You know, we covered how the teams did, surprises in the teams. Eeply, did you have like an MVP of day one, or at least a couple players that you felt like really stood out in their teams?
I definitely, I wouldn't say there's one. You know, there's been a few on each of the teams. We obviously saw one game specifically from bot mode on Ascent and A where Dude just took over the game, you know. We were talking about a little bit just before while we were kind of chatting through things. In the Viaduct game versus the top 5 and Sons team, bot mode after the first round had like 4 points or something, and then he just decided to toggle on, got 500 DPM and just absolutely pounded from there onwards, right? He basically just took over that game almost entirely by himself with, you know, then some help from Laz. We were talking yesterday as well on the side of Feint. We saw really, really good things from Lucas, but also Pappy as well. I really think that yesterday for Feint, Pappy was the MVP for that team. It was really, really good stuff from him. We were seeing kind of slightly more streaky things from some of the Feint players. You know, we saw some really good stuff from Domo on a couple maps, but then slightly quieter on others. Whereas on the side of kind of Seven, we were seeing, you know, slightly more kind of equal all around. Obviously, Captain is always a really, really big player for the team. The way he kind of, you know, moves around is it's incredibly valuable for how his team plays, but he doesn't get quite the same, or at least didn't yesterday, quite the same kind of frag clips here and there. So, yeah, I feel like a lot of players have been playing really well, but it's still too early for kind of any kind of real MVP talk, I think.
Alba, any names that you want to throw to that list before we get to some final thoughts on the match we got coming up?
I think Thomas had some really good games yesterday. He was dropping 40 frags. I think it was against Ascent NA, if I'm not mistaken. So he's definitely someone to look out for.
Yeah, nice. I would say Amps as well would be one that I would throw in there. Seemed like he was really slaying.
Kovacs, dude. Kovacs.
Yeah, that Kovacs aim trainer for sure. Let's go into final thoughts, though. Quick predictions. Bus Crew versus the Frenchies here. Corentin mass damage. That's, you know, I was expecting more of a French name. But anyways, let's get into predictions. Eeply, your thoughts here.
I think we're going to be seeing full best of 3. You know, it's going to be going all the way, and I think it's going to be Bus Crew taking it.
Okay.
Yeah, Bus Crew in 3 maps.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we got 2 excellent casters who are going to be taking us through this match. We're going to throw it over to them now. Grumpy Koi and Bomb.
Ready for the joint? Hi everyone, welcome. My name's Grumpy Koi. I'm joined by Beta as my co-caster.
Beta?
Not Beta. Sorry, I was fighting Beta in chat. I got bummed. completely different kettle of fish. We're very confused. I'm looking very different right now, and so we're going to be going into the first map, which is Gully Wash. It's going to be between Quarantine Mass Damage, which is the first French team I think I've ever casted that I can pronounce the name of, to some degree, and obviously the OG crew of Bus Crew, which has some absolute classic players actually in the lineup.
Yeah. Well, they used to be called 3.5 stars. That was easy enough to pronounce, Grumpy. That's literally English. That's the language you speak.
Not that well. Have you seen me cast before? But no, we are going to be having a very interesting game. It's, you know, it's interesting because Jon kind of wanted to go through the open bracket, and there was a lot of weird contention about it because we were thinking Bus Crew could easily play in the invite bracket. They have the ability, the play mentality. They've got the players that can really do that. But they decided to, you know, show the open bracket how to play Team Fortress 2. I don't think they lost a map.
No, I doubt they would with their roster. I mean, they're going to be absolutely comfortable in this invite bracket, but it is the first time we'll be seeing them on stream. So in case you guys don't know, well, I'll run you down the roster right here. We've got Deox and Adelos on Scouts, Warped and Aubrac on Soldiers, Jon on Demo, of course, and Martin God on Medic.
Martin is one of the standout players to me. Martin's been playing for a very long time, very experienced medic, very, 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 you know, comfortable in the role. I think he's not necessarily a flashy medic. He just does medic how you're supposed to. He just plays medic so well that it can be boring to watch sometimes because he doesn't overcommit. He doesn't, you know, get out of place. But he's not also he's never too far away. He's always where he needs to be, and he's very good. And someone like Jon, who's a very heal-centric demo, he likes to take those heals and, you know, really pound. That's going to be really interesting for him to work off. But I'll just run through the Quarantine Mass Damage, just so people are reminded. We've got Karnax and Alien Smiley Face on the Scouts. We've got Duwu on Soldier, Olga playing Soldier, and Raph on Demo. Is that the case? Raph usually is a Roma main.
Yeah, Raph is usually playing on Soldier, but I had a word with Olga and Alien Smiley yesterday about why they've had to mix these things up. Obviously, this team was getting absolutely smashed in the invite bracket, which is why they've ended up on the bottom seed. Obviously, Bus Crew with the top seed from the open bracket. Those guys kind of meet in the middle, and that's why we've got this matchup here. But Raph said that he wasn't feeling like he had enough space on Soldier, so he wanted to really go on Demo Man where he could carve out more space, take real control of the game, and then when they had to switch Alien, obviously, to accommodate him, Olga thought, this is a good time for me to say that I want to switch as well. Olga feels much more comfortable, obviously playing Pocket, which he's played for years. Scout, one of the more relatively new roles for him, only been playing it for like 2 seasons, I think. So Olga returning to Pocket, Raph on Demo, and then obviously pushing Alien Smiley onto Scouts to accommodate for them. But even after making those changes, it doesn't seem like they improved that much. They were still losing out to everyone, even to top 5 Suns with this new roster. When top 5 Suns were the second bottom team in Invite, they only won against this roster. So it is going to be very tricky for the French team to win against Bus Crew here.
Yeah, and one player we didn't mention is Mular is actually playing medic as well. But yeah, the Raph switch up has kind of interested me because Raph is a standout roamer. So having this switch around is very, very interesting. But yeah, I feel like that's a real problem. Is sometimes this can happen at LAN where you've got players that want to play specific roles, but you've got, you know, it's like when you do a D-Mix and you pick all the best players, but they all play Soldier.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've got the best players, but they can't hit anything on Scouts, so I've got 2 Scouts that can't do anything. I think that's one of the problems that Quarantine Mass Damage have, is they have a lot of really good Soldier players. And that sort of mentality. The Karnax would be the standout Scout player, like, on their team.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. But apart from that, like, that's about it. You know, they don't, like, Raph would never strikes me as a demo main, especially in the invite bracket, just because he's so good at getting behind on Roma. And with Duwu playing Roma now, you gotta adjust to every little bit of that. Like, Olga as well is a standout pocket, so you've got that little bit of security on him on main class. But it is going to be very interesting when you've got, like, Yon, who's been playing demo in high divs, and he played in Prem consistently. You know, he's been playing demo for a long time. Warped has recently come back in Copenhagen Games on Bus Crew. Warped's been playing for absolute years. You've got Adalos, who's a scout, who played on the Germans team with Shocky. So he's got that great mentality as well. Deox has been on Bus Crew for as long as you can remember. And alongside that, he has a mean off-classing repertoire.
Yeah.
His spy plays are incredible, and that's down to him playing a lot of Highlander as well. So he's really good at that, you know, that awful mentality that I can't understand. I'm really bad at everything, but specifically spy. Alongside that, it's like, yeah, you look at the team, you got Aubriac as well, who's a new addition, who is basically the swap out for Poison, because Poison went on to Electro. But Aubriac's played a lot of pugs. He's kind of rolled around in the high divs for a while. People kind of have an idea of who he is, but I think we are actually going to be going live. So this is going to be a best of 3 bum.
Yep. First map here on Gully Wash. Looks like both teams are rolling out to middle.
Quick prediction, just quickly. First map.
Quick prediction, Bus Crew have to take it convincingly with this new shuffled up Frenchies roster. And we do see the first mid-fight underway. Looks like Duo is going to go for a sneaky drop-down play while the rest of Bus Crew are trying to go across the point forwards. Duo actually coming up behind now, not going to get much done, caught out in the choke and drops back down. Warped in the meantime is in onto Raph, doing big damage but does get taken down here. Aubriac trying to follow it up, getting caught on the floor, trades for a scout. So it's a 2v3 now. Martin just going to have to run away with Adalos out of the choke. They're chasing him down. Martin's trying to go up top. He might get caught here. Might have been smart to go straight for the shutter. He's caught out behind point. 4 health on Martin. He's staying alive if he gets out here.
Way.
Oh my god, Martin.
Martin manages to get away, and he manages to get his Uber up as well. You know, going up top is a very risky play, but he just got so much separation between him and the team that was pressuring him. And when the scout went in, Adalos did a really good job of just completely distracting them, because they were just trying to deal with Adalos. They didn't want to risk bringing their med past that point, because if they did, then Adalos could have just easily just walked past and two-shot that med. So that was a really good play from them. Olga's actually going to go in, get some pressure onto Martin, try and get the force, but he is going to get cleaned up by Deox. And that is going to create an opportunity for maybe the send in Warped. Warped may be looking for an opportunity on Big Door. They're going to be looking for little space here and there, just trying their best to not have this mid loss be down. And Aubriac is going to be the one to actually get the force onto Mular. And that's going to be a really good play, because Alien, you know, it's fitted out already. They're going on to Yon, trying to get the force just naturally. Yon's just calm and collected, will clean him up. And especially with this being a LAN server, I don't know if you remember Copenhagen Games 1, but Yon turned up to that LAN, and I can imagine LAN pipes from Yon are going to be very big this game. As Warped goes in drop down, he's looking for some opportunity. He is taking the spam. We're asking a backup from Quarantine Mass Damage as they are taking quite a lot of damage.
Oh, it's a
he
brilliant
got the force.
Yeah, he hid on the lamp. It looked like they were going to avoid him at first by going drop down, but he gets the big bomb in anyway, and now Bus Crew aren't going to be able to push through this choke here. Olga is just watching it with his banner, ready to try and get back into middle with Mular's 50% advantage.
Yeah, he's got that conch on. He hasn't really built it up that much, but he's looking for little opportunities here. He's just going to take a lot of damage, and Warp's actually gotten to 31 HP. They've lost their conch. Alien Smiley looking to come in, but the sticks from Yon are denying really nicely. There's a battle going on Big Door, and Karnax does go down. And what forced them? There's no reason they should have used that. That was really, really bad coming out of Mular there. But somehow Alien Smiley's in. Aubriac's going down. Deox is down as well. They're doing a really, really good job of just pushing them out.
That was an interesting Uber from the French team there. I don't know why I think must have been they had just panicked because there was almost no threat at all to them. And now Olga is trying to salvage a kill onto Warped here, but with Martin's 100% advantage, they are probably going to go even with this player down. They are looking to put some pressure into Big Door at the very least.
Yeah, Yon's rotating really nice onto Big Door. He's managed to push them out. Now Quarantine Mass Damage are going to have to rotate up into their river onto battlements. And right now, I think Yon wants to go in. Adalos is going to try and lead the charge, deal some damage. They're getting sandwiched And the Uber exchange has happened as quarantine mass damage do get it, but Duru is actually dropped by Moolah, and that is one frag. And they're looking to re-push in with Adelos dealing a huge amount of damage. There is a soldier, I think it's warped on top, or Aubriac, yep, just spamming them out. Really good job. And as the players start falling, the demo has gone down, and they are in a perfect position without any Uber advantage, but just on player advantage to go forward here. They don't have that demo to deal with, but the spam comes out. Duru's now respawned and in a good position to deny. He's going to deny from Launchpad, and things are going to stable out a bit, Bum. But right now, very scrappy coming out of quarantine mass damage.
Yeah, really good trade from Bus Crew to get that 1 kill in the trade. Also, Raph was completely out of that fight for the entire thing. He was just stood behind the point waiting for an arrow, it seemed, but all the rest of the fighting was keeping Martin too busy. So with no Demo Man doing any damage output in the fight, it just slowly went the way of Bus Crew. But now, obviously, onto Gully Wash last. With both teams at 100%, we are going to see Alien and Karnak setting up the classic Engineer and Pyro. Now Warp sacks in, he's going to get nothing.
Get absolutely Pyro.
That is why you have him there to reflect all those rockets away. He had no chance.
They're going to be looking to pressure, maybe get it. If they can get like a pick like Yon, for example, that would be so good for them to push out. They could maybe try and use the Pyro to get some pressure, but right now, looks like they're just going to chill. They're going to stabilize. You know, they don't want to make that push in because you can get caught out quite easily. I think Gully Wash in particular is a stereotypical European and back cap sort of map.
Yeah, and Olga has actually got his conch up here, so if they do want to make a play out of last, it's going to be a lot easier for them. If the Ubers get traded off, Olga can use that conch to try and re-push after the fight, give his whole team a buff. They're going to get heals and some extra speed as well when they try and get out, which will be very useful for them. But it looks like Warped is just going to try and peek through here.
Building up his battalions. There's a similar mentality actually currently going on with the 3 crafting of the Bus Crew. They've got Warped cleaning up that dispenser. And yeah, so they're going to bring up the battalions. And, you know, what do you think? Battalions versus Conch, what wins?
I think battalions with the damage resistance is really, really strong, but either are absolutely fine. As long as you're not using the buff banner, probably the worst of the 3 banners at the moment. I think both of these weapons are really great, and it's good to see both of these teams using them to try and break a stalemate like this. If either of them decide to trade now, then...
it looks like Olga might have accidentally popped it. It looks like he's holding it. I think they're going to be going for a play through in. Olga and Duo do put the pressure in, but Warped handled that really, really well. He was the only one that took any damage, and that's a completely fluffed Conch actually out of a quarantine mass damage.
That's what a lot of teams try and just use their banners to power up their sacks almost. It makes sacking a lot easier, and it looks like Olga wanted to try and do that over towards River. He got him and Dwo to do a double bomb, but they just got instantly denied. It's such a narrow corridor, and you're bombing into people with height advantage. It just did not work out at all, even with his banner there. So now we could be seeing Warped trying to just build this up and use his in return.
Yeah, he is going to be looking to build that up. He's taking a huge amount of damage that they've lost that battalion. One thing I wanted to say before this, oh no, this exchange is happening. Alien Smiley's going for the force. Then you've got Raph actually really far forward, takes a huge amount of damage, but Deox does end up going down. But that was actually some good work from Bus Crew trying to get Raph out, and Raph wants to bring this forward. They've got 2 players down, only versus the 1, but Yon's just going to hold that very close. He's looking to get some pipes in. Olga's going to deal some damage, but nice surf away from Yon, just to keep himself nice and safe. The one thing I just wanted to say from Conch versus Battalions is Conch requires you to deal damage for the sustain, whilst Battalions doesn't. And that's really important to realize, that if you're not able to get those connected rocket shots on the sack, you're not really going to be able to sustain that fight. And Warped dodged the rockets really nicely, and they were only able to connect like a 60 damage rocket onto him. And that's not enough to continue. But Deox showing his main gets Moolah and Karnak. That's insane. And now we see the Bus Crew coming in. Alien with the hold off, trying to stop them, but they're getting absolutely collapsed upon. Adelos now going across, getting a frag on Duo, going on the point, putting the time. The first round of this map of Gully Wash is going to go to the Bus Crew. What a play from Deox. We mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Managing to get 2 picks on the spy there back to back and just fully sealed that round in for the Bus Crew. First round over 1-0. Although it is a lot closer than I was expecting this to be. Honestly, after 10 minutes, I was expecting Bus Crew to be a bit further ahead as we come into the second mid.
Yeah, there has been some really interesting plays in the last holds from Quarantine Mass Damage weren't too bad. But on this mid right now, Warp's taking a lot of damage going into lower. Soldiers coming in behind, and that's going to be Duo that's going to clean up Warped. Obiak going on the left-hand side, looking to bomb in, trying to get the damage. Duo is going to get cleaned up, but Yon goes down. Mula actually goes down, but they traded around the same time. But Deox behind is the only one left, is going to get cleaned up, and that's going to be that mid going to Quarantine Mass Damage.
Yeah, much more convincing mid-fight for the French, and the key difference was that Duo going up, drop down did actually do something this time. Last time he was fully locked out, and this time, after getting the big damage and choke, all of his team could come across the point forwards and really take the fight to Bus Crew in their choke, and that was a convincing mid-fight win now, but it looks like Bus Crew are trying to re-pressure from up top.
You know what Martin's got right now? He's got a Kritzkrieg.
Uh-oh.
Jon has a history of Kritzkriegs in Copenhagen games, so I'm extremely excited.
I don't know if Kritzkrieg out of last is the best place to use it, though. When you're getting pushed into, it's going to be tricky for Jon to find a way to get the medic.
So good. They know where they are. Look, they're going for the pressure. They're going to go straight in. They can do it. They've used it. They've hit one. They've hit two. They've not even hit the med.
Oh, Mula!
To get Mula. That was such a clutch crit. Mula was at like 98% at that point. That was, you know, they could have done a good, they could have absolutely scuffed that, but it was a really, really good crit.
Yeah.
Little bit clutch, like.
Yeah,
you know,
that was really high risk, high reward to use it in such an
aggressive
abnormal place. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just Jon has pulled it off perfectly, and so now they have the Kritzkrieg advantage of 40% to take it out of last.
That was an absolutely perfect read, because the main thing that they did is they used Aubriac and Jon to push through into lobby. You know, they knew that they were going to be standing in the classic spot building. So what they did is they just forced their way into lobby and went up into river, and they completely sandwiched them. Like, if they went into last, they would have met Warped and Deox. And they've gone for another one! Oh, that's 2 for 1! And Jon looking for more. Oh, the Kritzkriegs on Jon now are coming out. I mentioned it, but that was a nice little sticky snipe coming out of Jon there, bum.
Yeah, absolutely. But they don't get the medic picks that are really crucial for you when you have the Kritzkrieg. Now Mula is going to be able to have his invulnerability up, and triple damage doesn't do anything when the other team takes 0 damage. So you can see the French team here pushing it in through choke. Olga doing a big bomb just to create some space, gets the pressure onto point, and the Bus Crew know that there's no chance they can fight this against the Uber. They are just backing out from up top. They've lost Deox as well for this, and now this is basically a full Uber advantage for Mula, because the Kritzkrieg is not going to come into effect at all against these Ubered players. So they've used straight in onto last. Raf getting the damage in up top. He's not actually going to get much. A-Loss jumping around.
They managed to get Martin, but Warp's on the point as well, trying to defend that. No, that's going to be a really, really good push from Quarantine Mass Damage. They started to get the frags post-Uber, and they're going to actually equalize it out. You know, really good play, but because Jon didn't manage to snipe what he needed to.
Yeah, in the end, the Kritzkrieg still didn't come out on top because they didn't get enough of an advantage from killing Mula with that crits, because they weren't able to push out with a decent enough crits charge. So coming into the third mid, tied up 1-1. Looks like Warp's going to be the one going up, drop down this time, straight onto Raf, getting a good rocket in. Aubriac's here to follow it up into the enemy elbow, gets a rocket into Mula and Karnax, but they both survive. Deox now trying to follow it up with Jon walking across the point as well. He gets a big pipe onto Mula. So now it's looking amazing for Bus Crew as long as Martin can stay alive. Karnax knows that he has to try and get Martin here. Olga also sacking him from drop down, gets 1 rocket, but the surf from Martin is good.
That was all down to the soldier play. So the main thing was Warped and Aubriac did an amazing job of forcing the medic into elbow. And the main thing with that is because they were in that area, they could not come out and support Raph. So players started getting picked off, and then they were forced in a situation where they had to leave through Big Door or Choke. They went for Choke. Yon knew that was happening. They were already barreling across point. They had the stickies set up, and there was nothing they can do, and they've got themselves 100% Uber had. As a result, Martin going to look to set this up. I think they're going to go for the classic scout demo through Shudder, or maybe they're going through main. Actually, Yon's looking to do it through main. They've actually brought it up. They're getting denied a bit. They've dealt with the sentry gun. They're pushing people back into spawn. They need to deal with Raph behind the point. As Deox goes for the chase, Raph is going to go down there. They need to start baiting time at the point. There's a scout behind Deox. I don't think he sees it as they get cleaned up. And that full Uber ad was an absolute failure from the bus crew. And Yon, and right now, Martin trying to get away. Nice serve from him, dealing some good damage. But he's just prolonging the inevitable. He needed to kill bind.
Yeah, kill binding there would have got an extra 5 or so seconds off his spawn time probably, which would have been useful, but again, not enough as Mular lives throughout this entire exchange and has 100% Ubercharge advantage. Martin's not even up, so all the damage that the French team do at this point is permanent unless they can find medkits on the Buzz Crew side. Aubrey in with a very fast bomb straight onto Mular. What a great force, but Mular didn't even take damage. Mular had no need to pop there.
I think it was to actually save the players around him. I don't think he wanted to lose Raph, so he decided to try and clear up the damage on Raph. It's interesting because they lost 3 for that sack.
Yeah.
So not only did they lose Warp and Aubryac, but they lost Deox as well. So really, it's not that good of an exchange. They've got that little bit of an advantage, but Mular's building really, really nicely, and right now Quarantine Mass Damage are on their second, looking to set things up, get their building up. You know, Bus Crew not looking that strong right now. You know, coming into this, I thought there'd be a lot more control, but Quarantine Mass Damage are actually playing really comfortably.
Yeah, I wonder if this change-up has actually started working for them. It's always risky to make moves like this in your roster, especially midway through a LAN, but if you start getting results against the Bus Crew, then it's worth doing, obviously, and they're taking Riverside here, pushing out Yon and Warped from the side of Bus Crew.
Yeah, they've done an amazing job to just slow them down. Ubers have been equal. That was the main play there. Meet them in River. Stop them from doing it. They've got their sentry gun out now, which Olga's going to start looking to spam. But Warp's still trying to meet them, still trying to cause that little bit of chaos, slow them down, get position sorted. They have got Adalos on the Pyro, so they've got the classic like New Age Gully Wash hold. And that damage onto duo between Yon and Warped was really well synced. They managed to clean him up, and that's a frag. That's space. And that's exactly what they're doing, is they're trying to build their space forward. Aubrey's going up, taking control of River. Warped joining. I think they're actually going to do a back out. That's very interesting. They look like they wanted to get space, decided not to do it. You know what? That's actually a good play, because you don't want to be forced trying to come out of your last on an equal Uber situation.
Yeah, they were just trying to see if there was an opportunity off of that one pick, but then obviously the respawn came in. They just had to give up. Karnak's now in a very sticky situation, quite literally been stickied off by Yon. He's going to try and get out, takes a bit of damage, but does escape with his life at least. Yeah, Gully Wash isn't a map where you want to be holding lobby at all, so if you don't get that space into second off of that one pick, which is what the Bus Crew were trying to do, then it's way better to be on last than to try any sorts of forward hold. And they do have that pick again onto Karnax. It looks like Aubrey's going to be the sole guy going forwards here.
I think they're just looking for space right now. Aubrey is in a little bit of a situation. He's going to get pressed by these two soldiers, but huge amount of damage. But Warped and Aubrey get killed by a single rocket by Olga. That's not where Bus Crew wanted that fight to go. And now Yon is trying to deal with these players, pushing in with the Uber. They're managing not to get the sentry gun right now. Alien's actually going to go down to the Pyro, and the Uber has been exchanged by both teams. And luckily, oh, they play onto point. That's so close. They need to be really careful. You may see soldiers start sacking for that point, or trying to clean up that sentry gun, send someone through water right now, Bum, because you know they've got some decent picks. They had some decent time onto the point. And the distraction play has been really, really good from Quarantine Mass Damage so far.
Yeah, they are 2 scouts down, but Raph is doing a good job of blocking off these doors. Aubryac, though, all the way in with the bomb. Mular's all alone. What a great surf, but at the end of the day, he gets taken down. Now, Adalos still pushing forwards, gets Raph as well. All of Bus Crew, but Alien's going on to last. Alien might get this, oh my god! Alien with the spy play during all the chaos on
And the
second.
sentry gun, he like drew the sentry gun. He didn't sap that beforehand. He was just like to the side. He couldn't move, but he managed to win. What?
2 spy plays already in this map, securing rounds for their teams. Now, Frenchies take the lead 2-1 into the 4th mid, as we do see Warped with a very high bomb getting denied. Absolutely. Aubriac trying to follow it up, only gets Olga before he's knocked down onto the floor. A-Loss now running across point with Deox cleaning up these frags. All of the players crunching onto the French team.
Aubriac. Aubriac! 4K on mid, finishing it off with the skill stick. Good read from Aubriac. The first bomb with him and Warp wasn't that strong, so Aubriac dropped down, waited for the arrow, and then once the damage was dished out by Yon, recommitted with Deox, and did an amazing job to manage to clean up those 4 frags. So that was really well played by Aubriac.
Yeah, really good from Aubriac, and Martin obviously not dying gives them another full Ubercharge advantage. Hopefully they don't use this one as poorly as they did the last. Looks like they're going to take it through Shutter instead. Going to be very easy to get this level. Oh no, but Yon gets debt on. He gets dropped from the Uber, so it's just all onto Adalos to try and get this Uber charge in now. Aubriac's getting denied by the Pyro. The time is on point though from Deox, but all the players of the French team are just standing on it. They will not let anyone in. Aubriac though gets onto Mula and Raf. Alien with the reflect will finish him off, so now it's just Martin having to run away.
Fire this round.
I know, Aubriac nearly gets that clutch out, but that's so unfortunate that Martin dropped Yon in that Uber.
So funny. you know there's going to be a trap there. Yon's probably just, I can imagine he just let out a massive sigh. He wouldn't have even like screamed or anything. It would just be this deep, heartfelt sigh.
He's not angry, he's just disappointed. Absolutely.
Especially with a medic that you've played with for so long as Yon and Martin have. So, yeah, that would have, I think, if Yon survived, that would have been a disaster for Quarantine mass damage, but they managed to hold on. They were able to go onto the point because of the lack of a demo. Like, it's such an important thing to have your demo on these last pushes, because point can be just body blocked very, very easily.
But they know they have a small ad again, so Yon actually getting used on this time will manage to take the sentry gun down. He's getting the stickies on point, but Raf underneath is just causing so much chaos on the point. Not going to be able to get him until now, so...
Yon, what the hell? Absolutely perfect. Getting some decent frags, getting onto Raf, but sadly, they do actually wipe.
And Mular with a really nice play at the end managed to actually surf Aubriac's rocket, I believe, and maintain this full Ubercharge advantage coming into mid as well. But he's not got the players with him yet. They're going to slow down a little bit. It would be unwise to try and push in with just 3 players here. And now Raf is taking them through the big door, leading the way. Deox hiding in the corner in this little bush on mid. He does get spotted out by Alien pretty quickly. Aubriac also, his sack does not work out. Deox trapped between a rock and a hard place of Karnax and Olga, and Mular still not using his Ubercharge. They're going to go straight through the opposite big door now with 50% advantage, Gumby.
Yeah, right now they're pushing piece by piece by piece. They managed to separate Yon. They've decided to use it. I think they may have got forced, but I'm not 100% sure on this play. Pushing into last, trying to clean up Yon. Is that the only frag they're going to go for? I think that's kind of a waste. 15 seconds using your Uber.
I believe they saw Yon and they expected that must mean that's where the combo is. They used pretty much only onto Yon as the rest of the team was out to last. So getting a bit ahead of themselves maybe and wasting an Ubercharge there.
But one of the really good stats of holding, you know, like your lobby area to second is to have your combo up on battlements and have your demo just locking down lobby. So you think that they would be aware of that strategy and maybe got a little bit more information before going for the commitment. And speaking of committing, Bus Crew are actually coming in now piece by piece. Olga going with a high bomb, trying to connect in. Not going to do so. And he's actually going to get cleaned up by Adalos. And right now, we're going to have both teams waiting for those opportunities to push through. Ubers have been equaled out. Warp's coming in, maybe going for a play. They just need to, you know, Olga is just about to come back, so they know they've got a little bit.
All the way in already. They're taking this trade. Warped does go down to Karnax in the meantime, and it looks like the bus crew have had to flash more, so this is going the way of the French team so far. Aubriac trying to get in onto Olga just to kind of salvage this, but with 2 soldiers down, you definitely think Raf is going to try and lead this through big door here.
Yeah, Raf's going to do the big rotation. Yon's trying to get out behind.
Oh, Duo and Olga are up behind as well. They're trapping them up here.
They are, but actually Olga was going through main. They're trying to deal some more damage. Deox does go down, but it's really, really scrappy for both teams, and Quarantine Mass Damage is actually faring worse on these exchanges, but Olga's still on that conch, so if he can build that up, again, it will be a situation where they can push in. But I don't think the bus crew are going to want to let him do it. They want to cap out this second as much as possible. Maybe spotting out that situation, but Yon actually goes in very, very deep. Adelos uses the distraction to get some pressure.
Mula goes down to Aubriac though.
Ooh, Mula does get cleaned up. Yon now trying to deal with the bomber, and the correct person actually deals with it, Adelos, and we're going to see more exchanges on big door. As right now it's so scrappy. There is so much going on all the time, and no one seems to be really cohesive. Like,
yeah, it was the flank play from the Frenchies could have been absolutely amazing if they had pincered them in up top with the pressure coming from ahead and behind, but it seemed like Olga and Duo had different ideas in mind. They didn't really play that together as they could have, so Duo ended up getting cleaned up, and then Olga got cleaned up at a different time. It all kind of led to the bus crew getting in pretty easily. Aubriac getting a frag onto Karnax, who was in the forward spawn there. Deox going to start capping off this second point, and they've managed to roll 2 points off of this with just the Ubercharge advantage alone without having to use yet. Looks like they are going to slow this down for last, so we'll end up even by the time they get there. Obviously, as we always see on Gully Wash, Alien onto the Pyro already. Karnax bringing his sentry gun, moving that gear up.
Yeah, with an equal Uber situation. You know what I want to see that I haven't seen that much this LAN is the old lock and load strat.
Yeah.
Send the lock and load demo through, but no, never mind. As I was about to explain that, they managed to get the sentry gun done just with spam, and Ubers are equal, so they need to force them out.
Warped makes a nice play onto the point actually and gets Raf with that, so with no demo man on last, you definitely think bus crew are itching to try and make something happen.
Yeah, they really are, and Alien's now just kind of popping away. Olga's actually got the conch that I think he wants to pop off.
Yeah, he's popped it off. He's just holding it for the right moment now as Yon is trying to put some pressure onto him, make him let go of that conch.
He's just dancing. That boy is just dancing. He's got a happy feet right now. As he's not going to get... He's not even going to use it. He's just going to hold it, just chill. No pressure's really coming out of the bus crew right now. The mere presence of a man with a shell.
He's running around with a shell. He's going to beat you to death with it.
Yeah, it's like you can see that they're very, very cautious of it. They don't
Deox in under the point, though, is going to make him have to use it off so that he can pull his rocket launcher back out. Olga has to pop the conch there at an inopportune moment. Deox can just run away, so that's the conch pretty much wasted.
That was a big brain play from Deox. Was that his plan? That's not.
I highly doubt it was, but it works out.
If it was, that's like a 500 IQ play, just to pop your head off, just to make sure that the conch is used. But the play's actually going on to the point. Warp and Deox are looking to do the
pressure. This is great.
He's getting cleared. Alien Smiley trying to deny it, but as that's happening, Yon is just throwing pipes in. This is the perfect way to play this last.
Oh, Deox in onto Raf.
He's just expecting him to be out. He's
this is amazing from Bus Crew.
Deox has done so much work. Now they're trying to get back
has
in.
to use just to save this point. This is absolutely perfectly engineered from Bus Crew, playing the point from underneath, with Yon sticking off the point so no one can actually get to his player that is trying to cap it. Really good job from him just to do all the damage on the point, stop his player from going down for so long that he can actually pick up Raf.
Are we going to see a water play? No, we're going to see a river play as they try to go in. They're getting denied a lot by the sentry gun, but it is going to go down. They just need to start clearing up point now. Raf is on it. He's going to get forced down. And just by forcing him down, this means that he's not able to do much as he's trying to pipe people as much as possible. Yon's spamming onto the point. You know, Quarantine Mass Damage are holding this really nicely, dealing with the players again. It doesn't seem like
Karnax
can finish. They always get to the point, but they just can't finish.
Yeah, absolutely. Raf hiding underneath there again, really delayed it for so long, and Alien was actually in secret. Every time Yon tried to stick it at the point, Alien was just blowing them away with his leaf blower.
be gone. But no, Warps picked up a questionable frag onto Karnax. Like, I don't know where Karnax was, but he wasn't with us.
It's not going to matter much, though, with 1 minute 20 left. This is literally last chance saloon for the bus crew. They don't have their Uber up at all, so Mular's actually going to get it first. They are going to have to dry push this. It looks like they're trying to, as Warps and Deox going into water for another point play.
Yeah, they need to force out the stickers as much as possible, but they're just getting absolutely barreled on by the soldiers of Quarantine Mass Damage. And right now, Yon's in an awkward situation, but Karnax's sentry gun does go down, and Yon looking to make a play onto the point, dealing a lot of damage, but Alien Smiley Face with that Pyro is just too strong right now on this last to push people away. Alien on 15 HP. He's just going to stay by the point. He knows there's about 40 seconds left. They got one more attempt, Bum. That's it, one more attempt.
They're just going to be literally throwing bodies in and see what works, but the French team are already taking ground on second. It's going to make it an extreme difficulty to even do that. Warp's trying to get in behind. Karnax just denying the bomb. Adelos and Martin now running in. They've managed to force off Mular, but with 20 seconds left, I don't think it's possible for them to even cap the point in time. So the French team have actually surpassed our expectations here. They're going to be taking this first map 2-1.
Yeah, completely surpassed my expectations. Quarantine Mass Damage have done some really good work, but also I feel like the bus crew were never able to finish it off. You know, you hate it when someone denies you a climax, my dude. Like, it's just unacceptable. Like, you want a team to be able to finish, and they just can't do it. So
yeah, even on that last push, they managed to get the sentry gun down. They managed to get Raph down, but then they couldn't finish off any of the rest of the frags to get that capped point climax, as you say. And I believe we have our analysts ready and waiting to talk about what went off there. So we'll pass it right over to Eckstein, Alba, and Eeply, the experts. Take it away.
Thanks so much, Bum and Grumpy. And, well, this is a best of 3, so don't worry, guys. We will get that finish that we are looking for. And off to a strong start. Eeply as well. You know, you've been the oracle of this event. All of your predictions coming true so far. Well,
I told you that. That's wrong. That's not even close to being true.
Maybe I needed to keep better notes, I guess. But you had a strong showing, though, for sure. And, you know, you did say it was going to be bus crew in a best of 3, so you're still on track. But what were your thoughts on that matchup, what we saw in map 1?
It was looking pretty close for a lot of it. It seemed like the Frenchies needed some time to wake up, honestly.
Yeah.
It seemed like the first 10 minutes or so, I thought it was actually going to be pretty clean for bus crew. I thought it was going to be pretty solid. They were going to go through things, kind of make it fairly easy. But honestly, it does seem like the Frenchies needed some time to wake up. And then after that started happening, they started looking much, much stronger. They kind of got their few little flashy plays, but ultimately I think they were just a bit more solid. I believe we got some logs, but these don't look like particularly correct logs. There might be some minor server issues.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, the DPM a little off the charts there, but Alien with 21 frags. That's certainly impressive and sometimes hard to pick up all those frags without too much damage. We'll just rotate through a few of these stats. Alba, what are some of your thoughts on this matchup in general, how things went down?
I mean, it felt like the bus crew wasn't really coordinated fully. They tried to set up plays, but I think they could have gone for more sack stuff. They were very passive and not really getting much done. You could see Martin died 4 times less than Mular, and still the Frenchies won, which usually don't happen.
Yeah, we're on to the medic stats here as well. Certainly one of the plays that I wanted to talk about was the defensive Kritzkrieg from Bus Crew. I thought that was pretty interesting. Do you got any thoughts on that, Talbot?
Yeah, it's like one of those things which shouldn't really work, but they make it work. It was actually a very nice play, getting Aubrey behind them in River. I don't know if they knew that they were in River or they just wanted to take the crits into lobby, but it worked out.
And I thought that a standout player from that match was Alien. Coming through with some big plays on Spy, getting that backstab to finish off the cap, that just the one player defending it. We also had him pulling out some big plays on Pyro with just constant Corentin mass damage, doing a really strong defensive plays throughout that. Eeply, do you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, Alien definitely has put in some really, really solid work, really well on these off classes, kind of denying things, and, just kind of once the Frenchies got in a leading position, they were perfectly happy to just kind of, keep control at last point and kind of keep on doing their thing. I think on the side of the bus group, we saw really, really good stuff from Aubrek. I'm slightly biased with him being a former teammate of mine, but genuinely, you know, considering he's a player more known for his demo play than anything else, the fact that he's kind of, you know, made this transition onto Soldier for at least this tournament, and he, you know, he made some really, really impactful plays, you know, some really good kind of forces, some really good opportunities to kind of go in. And I actually thought, you know, there was a couple opportunities where if they had just done a couple things a little bit differently, a couple things slightly more patiently, we were talking a little bit about, there was one last push in particular where it seemed like Busker just kind of rushed things. They didn't take the time to like sticky up point, kind of play point the way that you would expect. You know, sometimes they were just a little bit too slow. And honestly, you know, it was 2-1, so it was really close, but it felt like it was even closer than that. They're kind of, Busker were like a hair's breadth away from just being able to secure a couple more advantages and a couple more round wins. So definitely it's not too bad of a showing for Busker. I think going into this next map, Granary, they're going to be looking to try and take this in, like I said, you know, take it all the way to the map 3.
Yeah, we had some unusual off classes. I know that at least back in the day, Seven a couple times busted out the pyro for attacking the second point of Granary here. Alba, do you think that that's a trend that we're going to continue, or are there any other thoughts that you want to add in about our map that we have coming up here, Granary?
We might see the pyro in second, but I think mostly there will be the defensive last off classes and maybe a sniper for picks. Since we have Deox and Karnax Alien, we're probably going to see a bit of Spy as well.
Was there a player in that first map that you thought was particularly standout?
I would say John did really well. He had a lot of damage, but sometimes he wasn't really synced with his team. So I think if they work a bit on the coordination, follow up his damage, they can do a lot better next map.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Our third map as well will be Process. Eeply, you know, that was your prediction. You still have faith in your prediction that we'll get through all 3 maps, as well as Bus Crew being able to roll these next 2?
I'm not going to say, you know, rolling the next 2, but, you know, I do think we're going to see Process. I feel like the soldiers on Bus Crew, they are really, really good. Like, I think they have really good pairing as well. We saw some great coordinated stuff, but like I said, you know, I feel like there were some other issues. I think on a map like Granary, they're going to kind of show their colors a little bit more. They're going to slightly more take control of the game, and I think in general, we're just going to see Bus Crew just a little bit more awake, you know? They can be a bit more awake, a bit more kind of ready. I'm not quite sure how the map kind of picks and bans went, but I feel like there's a possibility that this is the Bus Crew pick, considering they should have been the lower seed. Not 100% certain, but I can see that very much being the case, and I feel like they're a team which would prefer a Granary over the Gully. Obviously, when it then goes to the Process, because of how Process is laid out, because it becomes, you know, there's a lot of real puggy players, and Process can be played in a really puggy way. I feel like that might come down to some more individual plays again. But obviously, you know, we've got Granary to go through first.
Right. And, you know, both you guys mentioned that Bus Crew may be kind of struggling with the attacks and getting the pacing correct. Granary is sometimes considered a little bit more of a slower tempo map. Alba, do you think you have concerns there for Bus Crew? Do you think there's some, you know, key adjustments that they can make?
I think Granary will favor Bus Crew better, just for the... I feel like it's an easier map to coordinate the aggression on, which I think will favor Bus Crew.
Okay, cool. Well, we should be getting going here fairly shortly on our next map. We're trying to get a pretty quick pace here today, and we definitely have a lot of games ahead of us.
Yeah.
Eeply, you know, any other final words of encouragement here for these teams as we get into our next map?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is this is, you know, one of the only showings I think we've seen at LAN so far where we've seen both teams perfectly happy to run banners.
Yeah.
So we've seen Conch a lot on the side of the Frenchies, whereas on the side of the Bus Crew we saw slightly more battalions backup. So I feel like if they are willing to utilize that a little bit more, I mean, with the way that Granary works, because it's very kind of soldier-centric, you know, not just kind of the mids, but I feel like second can be really interesting on soldier as well, kind of, you know, obviously not once you get inside the lobby, but that kind of yard location. I feel like if one team starts having some issues, there's a lot they can do with maybe just kind of start trying to run like double banner or, you know, like, yeah, kind of it makes sense in some of these wide open areas, but also, you know, even just when it comes to like pushing from yard onto second point itself, you've got such enclosed little areas. Sometimes all you need is that 330 and a battalion's backup, keeping you alive that little bit longer, and you can get some kind of fatty trade or like, you know, some easy kind of pick on the flank. I think it's definitely nice to see that. I think it's something we are going to see more from the other teams later in the tournament. And, I mean, we did make the prediction. Well, not really prediction. We kind of hoped it would happen. But if there's any kind of, like, gimmicky play that they should pull out on Granary, I want to see direct hit buff banner. right?
Ooh.
Direct hit buff banner, or in fairness, buff banner in any way. You know, Bum did say it's kind of considered the worst banner, primarily just because of how long it takes to build the actual charge. But once you get it, having no damage fall off whatsoever, plus a little bit of mini crit damage, is actually kind of insane. Like, people playing the game for years and years may not still realize how much I can catch you off guard.
Well, yeah, certainly. You know, that's one thing that I've talked about with people just kind of in other esports as well, that sometimes it's actually the top teams that are very rigid with their strategies. You know, that they know how they've won in the past, and they choose to stick with that. It did seem like Quarantine Mass Damage was very successful with the double, or just their defense in general. And I was surprised for sure to see them briefly go over to double banners on defense. What are your thoughts on that, Alba? You know, do you think that's, again, something that is really innovative, that, you know, if they continue to find success with it, that we'll see other teams pick up, or maybe those other teams might just be a little too hesitant to adapt themselves?
I think banners in general are pretty underused, especially when you have slow games. We saw, I think it was 7 versus Ascent EU. It was a very, very slow game, but no soldier picked up the banner. So I think teams could use more banners.
And I also thought it was interesting where when they only had one banner on the defensive side, they were using the Conqueror. And, you know, maybe in my ignorance, you know, you would just think, well, that seems like an offensive banner. What are your thoughts on that? You know, is that something that you would have expected to see out of Bus Crew in those situations where they had long, drawn-out attacking possibilities? You know, your thoughts as well as the defensive team turning to that Conqueror first.
Yeah, I think Olga was probably looking to get a sack off with that Conjurer. I think it's a great tool to use for sack.
Awesome. We also saw some spy action. Eeply, you know, is that something that you feel was maybe kind of map specific there, or just, you know, Quarantine Mass Damage doing a good job of reaching into the toolbox and pulling out the appropriate weapon?
I think it's more just like a LAN thing. I mean, we've already mentioned a lot of these players are really, really happy to kind of go for these off classes. Obviously, you know, Gully Wash is a map known for its flamboyant off classing.
Right.
And I feel like it's more just a case of, you know, it's like they're fairly it's fairly early in the day, so they might be able to catch people out a little bit more. It's obviously a LAN setting where Spy becomes about 10 times better, and it's people who have like a natural affinity for Spy. Like, I do firmly believe that as of this point in time, and forever really, Deox is first and foremost a Spy main, and everything else second. And I feel like a lot, basically the same can be said for a lot of the Frenchies as well, you know? They're never afraid to, which makes it really, really interesting when you've got two teams who, you know, they're perfectly willing to go for these off classes, they're perfectly willing, you know, to do stuff like the Bus Crew when it comes to crits. It's like they're not afraid to kind of pull out things which are slightly unconventional. And when it comes to LAN, the unconventional stuff will work way, way better in this situation.
Yeah, and I think also as, you know, TF2 continues to age as an esport, you actually got people that, you know, started off with Highlander and are a little bit more used to heavy weapons guy and pyro, and have a little bit more expertise than perhaps players that just jump straight into sixes and, you know, where these classes are pulled out more occasionally, you know, very special occasions. And that is one as well where, in some ways, I'm surprised that we haven't seen more pyro in this tournament. You know, my instinct is always like, if there's a large Ubercharge advantage, those people are pushing last. That's when you pull out the pyro to be able to air blast that Ubercharge and protect your turf. Alba, do you think that Goalie Wash, it was maybe sort of a map-specific thing, since Goalie Wash is a little bit more constrained, that, you know, if you air blast somebody, like, say, on Granary last, they don't just surf away up onto a pipe away from you, you know, kind of counteracting your own play? Or is it player-specific? You know, because Alien is a good pyro, will he just pull it out here? Or perhaps will we see them lean on other off-classes? Like Sniper was not something that was pulled out, even though sometimes that is popular on Goalie Wash.
Yeah, I think Granary we won't see as much pyro. On Gully Wash, you can either play two ways. Either you play defensively at the sentry and protect that, or you can do what people often refer to as the Froyo hold, where you hold close with a pyro even though you have Uber disadvantage. But on Granary, it's so open and big that a pyro has a hard time reaching people. So I think we will see more heavy sniper kind of setups, NG, those kind of off classes holding last.
It was just 2-1 was our final score on that first map. Eeply, are you anticipating a higher scoring map here on Granary?
Not really. Yeah. Like you said before, Granary's a known map for being kind of slightly slower, slightly kind of, you know, if a team can gain themselves an advantage, because it's kind of, it's almost like not even really a 5 CP map, because you've got like the yard and second, that transition is almost like a point within itself. there's a lot of things you have to go through. There's a lot of motions you have to kind of go through in order to take any individual point. I can't imagine it's going to go anything too crazy in terms of rounds. I'd like to go back just a second to one of the points you just made a second ago when it came to some of the teams and some slight little adaptations they can make. I was talking to Albert while we were watching the game, and I thought it was really kind of interesting how on these Gully Wash last holds, we didn't see any of the demos in any situation opt for running the loose cannon.
Yeah.
And it's something which I feel very passionate about. In these situations where obviously in Europe it is, you know, more or less every team now, the meta is to play your demo towards water. Not necessarily in water from the start, but, you know, backside of point into water. That loose cannon position from, it's roughly in the middle of point. You can get instant double donks onto both river and main and shutter, really, from that position. You basically, there's no real risk to it, and then you can still get into water, and it's still really, really good. I feel like there's a few situations, really, for both teams where they had an uber disadvantage and the other team just had a little bit too easy of a time getting in, you know? They've got the pyro, but there's only really so much a pyro can do. Even with a gun, there's only so much, and there's, I feel like, a few little kind of min-maxing adaptations they can make. Definitely going into Granary, I'd like that to be in their head because, I mean, the amount of times where we've seen a team with uber disadvantage holding Granary last, and then if you push through top and the defending demo has the loose cannon, that's it. You literally can't get through. Like, if you get double dunked in that doorway, that's just like your entire Uber over. And I feel like, you know, they're all for like their flashy little bits of soldier, you know, they're all for their like flashy little off-class on the scouts. But I feel like their demos could be picking out some of these other weapons as well. Lock and load still, I mean, there's some really, really good situations. Not even necessarily just the fact that it's easier to aim a lot of the time. There's very specific angles on a lot of maps where you physically can't get the same arc. There's, I believe, I'm trying to think, I think it's the loose cannon has a really specific arc from last on Granary where it arcs perfectly onto point through like 2 of the windows. It's like ridiculously specific, super sick. And that's the kind of thing where I'd love to see just some guy just get like double piped from something they had no idea about just because teams are putting in the kind of homework doing the map research.
Yeah, it certainly seems like amongst the 3 primary damage classes in Team Fortress, the Soldier, the Scout, and the Demo Man. I mean, you guys mentioned the direct hit a little bit, but it does seem like the Demo Man has the most variability in the main primary weapon that they choose to use. The Iron Bomber kind of seems to be the new standard, but there's still some things with, you know, traditional pills being able to bounce around corners appropriately for you. Alba, what are your thoughts on the Demo Man primary here, especially on Granary? What do you think that we'll see people use?
I think it's going to be mostly the what is it called? The Iron Bomber.
Yeah.
That's what most people use these days. I'd like to see more regular grenade launcher, just because the way you can lob rollers so far with it.
Yeah.
Which can be really helpful. But we might see some loose cannon on last, maybe some lock and load here and there as well. Quickie bombs, very possible.
Yeah. Quickie bombs is a good option. We see that sometimes on Badlands, you know, like trying to clear off a point. Granary as well, also like the last of the like really traditional TF2 maps that we play. You know, just recently there's just been some, you know, various conversations in the TF2 community about Xbox TF2, you know, and that's a good chuckle, and I tell people about it, you know, because I had some friends that play it. It's like they don't even know what Badlands is, you know. It's just sort of mind-blowing. Imagine a world without Badlands. And we've sort of, you know, kind of evolved into that ourselves, you know, bringing out other maps. Granary as well as a map that has been on the cusp of that ban list a lot of times, you know, where it's sort of a stable, but then when you start to look at the other maps that we have available to us, Granary seems to just like barely survive. Alba, what are your just kind of generic thoughts about Granary here?
Personally, I love Granary. I think it's a different style of map to most of the other maps. The way you have the yard area, which is quite big, and the mid, the way the crates are set up, I think it's a very interesting mid to play.
Eeply, I know that in the past, Granary has sort of been considered a scout map. Do you feel like that still holds true, or do you feel like maybe it plays a little bit more into the Soldier, or just generally speaking, the Demo Man has a lot of influence on it?
I feel like specifically on mids, each class kind of get their opportunity to shine. Specifically early on, if you have a demo which is consistently rolling out much faster, he can actually take over a mid just like that, you know? Especially if you get the read of whether the demo is rolling out lower or upper, you can get some early damage, some early stickies, sometimes even lock them out entirely, and basically win the mid just from there. We've seen that happen a few times. There's actually been quite a lot of times where with top prem teams, if one demo rolls out considerably faster and then just nukes the demo as he walks out top, the other team won't even bother going to mid. They'll just say, nah, there's no point. We don't have our demo. We can't commit because it's a very different kind of setup. Like, you need sustained damage, and you need good initiation in very different ways to other maps. Historically, everyone has always said that Grano is really, really good for Soldier. Specifically, you've got really good high ground to take on mids, and even on second, you've got a lot of really enclosed doorways. You know, obviously, Yard is slightly more open, but even still, it's not the absolute worst thing in the world. But ultimately, kind of every map's a scout map because we're living in 2019, and you know, any time when there's gonna be scrappy fights, any time when there's gonna be like post Uber or kind of, you know, right at the end of a mid fight, it's always gonna be important to keep your scouts alive, especially with. I was going to say like the change to the winger, like it wasn't like 4 years ago, but with the winger change, so you jump higher. It's so much easier now than in, you know, olden days TF2 to get scouted back up onto the high ground. They don't get punished in that same way. And in kind of, you know, like late game fighting, if you have that height on mid as scout, it's basically like, you know, the other team's like effectively done for. I think in terms of really wild things we could see, you know, kind of people taking over things a little bit. It's dumb, right? Because it sounds like I'm just coming up with like the weirdest, gimmickiest way of winning things. But honestly, I see a world in which if you're really smart and you've done your research, I think you can run rebooties on mid, specifically roll out faster and healthier than their demo, get that early damage, lock them out, and then play your soldiers double fast aggressive. Honestly, you could even run rebooties and quickies if you really wanted to commit, and then literally just be like completely neutralize their demo. You ain't got no stickies nowhere. Take him down like really early, win the mid just like that, and then just go straight last.
Yeah, I think Grumpy's losing his mind over there. Alba, anything you want to double down on, like extreme strategies you think we might see here?
Yeah, I mean, the reboot is, I think Cadus has whipped it out a few times on Gulliwash, actually, going up quickly on the enemy choke. And it can work very proficiently. All
right, really quickly here, as we are getting close to match time here, our second map, Eeply, a map score here.
I'm going to say it's going to be, let's say another 2-1, this time for Bus Crew.
Okay, and Alba from you?
3-1 Bus Crew.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll see if your guys' predictions hold true. If Bus Crew can bounce back from that first map, we are in a best of 3 here. So, you know, hopefully they can take it. Hopefully they can take us to a map 3. We're going to throw it over right now to our casters. Once again, it's going to be Grumpy, Koi, and Bum. Take it away, guys.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. I am Bum, joined again by Grumpy Koi here.
How you doing, Bum? I'm Grumpy Koi. We are going to be doing a granary between Bus Crew and Quarantine Mass Damage, and it's going to be an interesting one, I think. Don't you think?
Yeah, the French team have already surpassed our expectations. Obviously, all of the analysts siding with Bus Crew for this map again as well. Let's see if Bus Crew can actually take this one, as it seems like we are live straight into the game, rolling out on our second map here, Granary. Yon getting the early stickies in. Raf's considerably later, but he gets the pack anyway.
Yeah, and they're going to be looking to get those exchanges. We're going to be waiting for the soldier bombs that are so prevalent on this map. As we do see soldiers fly into the air, they're looking for their connections right now, and they're going to get Yon, who will just go down to Martin. And they're actually, Bus Crew starting to clean up even in absence of Yon. And Karnak's completely separated, going to get cleaned up by Adelos, and just on the pure power of their scouts and soldiers, they managed to win it out. And Olga now actually going to be holding in a cheeky little spot by second. And I think he's going to be looking to maybe get a play on to Martin when no one is looking. Or shall I? He's called God on the server. Do we have to call him God?
I think that's just his complex getting to him. I don't think we legally have to call him that.
We don't legally have to call him that. I'm going to call him Steve from now on. But right now, Quarantine Mass Damage and Bus Crew, I think, have gone into a pause. Or
yeah,
there
looks
is
like
a pause.
unless everyone's just playing, sleeping, whatevers. Yeah,
no.
Olga's backing out.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, Raf pushing forward into second after the Bus Crew haven't taken the space in second here. It looks like they are.
I think there are technical issues right now. I think
Yeah,
we're going to go
like
for a server restart.
Yeah,
because everyone was just kind of doing this.
just kind of standing still and jumping on the spot, just hopping around.
Changing weapon.
Yeah.
Boston Bastion was out being swung into a wall. You know, the usual. That's how you play Team Fortress 2 when nothing's happening. But yeah, so that was really well played by the Bus Crew. They dealt with the fact that Yon went down so quickly really well. They did their aggression. They started picking out players. I think one of the most important things about Granary is not to get separated. Those those crates are amazing when you're on top of them. When you're on the ground, though, they are dividers.
Yeah.
They just split your team apart, and if you can't spend your time with your team and you're just a single player like Karnax was, he just got cleaned up by Adalos and Deox because they were just like, yeah, he's on his own.
Yeah.
He's got no one with him.
The medic really has to pick one lane that they go down. You're not able to split the heal beam to whoever needs it at the right times, obviously. Although we did see both medics live through that mid-fight. I'm going to assume that they're going to pick up from where they left off. I think they'll be courteous enough to kind of get in position, but we may see the round restart all over as we go live again.
I think they've decided to do a full restart. It doesn't seem like anyone's being that slow. It looks like Yon's setting up some sticks. So that means that they are going live with this, maybe?
Oh no, they are playing this as if the mid-fight has happened. So Raf's just setting up his stickies on second. They're going to let both teams get Uber, just play this as if it was continuing from where they left off. So
bit of sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Gotta love it, gotta love it. And right now, they're going to equalize. You know, because both meds were alive, they don't mind having equal Ubers, and they're going to just give mid away to Bus Crew. And I think that's really fair. That is admirable. And, you know, we're going to be now looking at the classic garage versus yard hold situation.
yeah, Olga already on the Contra, going to be building that up. He didn't actually have that when the round ended last time, so he's kind of cheating, and I think we should default the entire game straight away to Bus Crew. But if the admins don't decide to do that, we're going to be seeing Olga build up his conch and likely use it off a trade or something. It looks like Aubriac trying to get some space, just forcing Olga back a little bit there.
Yeah, Aubriac's been absolutely relentless so far this game. He's, not specifically this map, because we've only just started, but the previous map, he was just constantly trying to make something happen.
And he's making it happen now as he gets straight in, but he doesn't manage to hit the air shot with a nice surf on Mula. Does manage to milk, so he doesn't have to use that Uber charge. We might see a counter sack from, it would have to be Duo, because Olga does not want to lose that banner. Looks like they are going to opt to stay where they are. Olga's going to keep trying to build it up.
The problem with when you're playing with a conch and you want to keep hold of that conch, sometimes your roamer's not in the best position to sack, and sometimes your pocket can actually be in a much better position to sack. But you actually completely remove that ability if you're playing a conch play. I love the double conch. I've always loved that. I think that's always, well, double banner to like a conch Italian. That's always a way to play, because then you've got two to work off if you're going to play that mentality. But right now, the pressure coming out, Deox is actually going to go down to Raf, but still, there's a lot of pressure being given by Bus Crew. They're looking to send someone in, but look at the rocket.
Oh!
The force from Duo does go on to Martin. I was about to say God, but we decided we're not calling him that. And yeah, so it's going to be equalized into a situation where there's 100% Uber ad to quarantine mass damage.
Yeah, great job from Duo getting that force off. Warp now taking his opportunity to get right in onto Mula. It's so deadly in this corner for a medic, and now he's all alone, but Mula with a nice surf. Aubriac follows it up, so he has to get the force.
But they sacked 3 again for a force. And they do give up mid, so actually it's not too bad of a play. They're not getting pressed that hard. Ubers are going to be an advantage to Martin right now, and they're going to be able to maybe recommit onto mid. But you know, you really don't want to be using your Uber on mid. The place you want to be using it is like if you're going straight into second, because then you can barrel through or anything like that.
Although Olga's using punch whilst the Ubers are still down, he catches out Yon. That's a brilliant pick to have. But the Uber is up for Martin now. He might be trying to use this just to keep control of Yard.
Yeah, and with that control, they've managed to push themselves forward. Aubriac's actually going to get picked up by Raf, but Raf's going to go down to the Ubered scout of Adalos, and Adalos is now pushing them out through garage. They're not going to chase anymore. Again, bit of an exchange happening in the backlines with Karnax and Warp doing a plus rep trade. And Duo looking to go in, getting denied quite nicely, but he deals some awesome rockets onto Deox, but the force has come out, and they're chasing again. Alien Smiley Face going on to Adalos and Martin. They do get out. Duo are actually going down to Adalos, and they're just like exchanging left, right, and center position-wise. And Yon's wanting to come through Z. This is such an aggressive play from the Bus Crew, and you know, Yon's got the damage. You know, they're getting frags. They've got Raf, they've got Alien. They're doing a really good job. Karnax goes down. Bus Crew just setting them up and knocking them down perfectly, and that was a really good play out of
I
them.
love that from Bus Crew. They know everyone's just over there on the right-hand side by the shutter. They're like, you know what, we're just going to walk out left-hand side and take the fight straight to you. No one has Ubers, so we're not going to be caught off by anything unexpected, and they just really play the team fight perfectly, get pick after pick, and now they are in position to push Garage here. They have a small advantage over Mular. It's about 20% here. Warped, bombing through onto the left side, but Duo is hiding above here. He doesn't manage to get onto anyone.
Yeah, and whilst that's happening, Warp, really good pressure onto second, and with Alien Smiley Face hiding out, he would be able to get something, but someone needs to call to him that he's being kind of useless right now. Unless he can get that frag onto, no, he knows that he's not able to peek out now. And Yon with the rotation, taking out that shutter, just means that right now, Bus Crew...
Plenty of people in the flank though. Yeah. Bus Crew are scouting out Lunchbox here. Aubriac's all the way up top. He's got Deox to back him up in case any pressure gets applied to him. And looks like Raph is sticking up Z to make sure no one comes from there either.
Yeah, and the exchange of damage as always, and Warp's now going to try and get some pressure onto Raph, but Bus Crew realizing this angle isn't working for us right now. We may need to look at something else. Deox just going to bank the point, try to bring people towards him, and they're just going to spam him out. And Yon is kind of alone. He is a pickable player. Like, Alien keeps kind of peeking his head in, looking to see if he can get onto him, but again, Deox pressuring, but distracting for the boys in Lunchbox, who Warped and Aubriac looking to do something. Aubriac did a lot of damage, is going to get Duo, but sadly they do trade out Warped, so they're not able to get the advantage they really wanted. Karnak's pressuring really, really nicely. Yon, again, just being a nuisance from Shutter, and with this stalemate situation, Bum, how are they going to break it? They've lost Aubriac. I think they were going to go for the play.
Well, so now with 2 down, it looks like Olga is trying to get out here through Z with Alien. They force off this Uber. This is actually really good. If they don't use here, Martin's body blocking Alien. That was pretty neat there.
He just looked at him like, you're dead now.
This is what God does.
This is what God does. I make the decisions as Karnak goes down, but Adalos trades out with it. You know, that's kind of what this match has been for the last map, and during this it's been trade for trade for trade. No one really getting that much of a lead, but Warped tries to go in, but Olga cleans it up really nicely through Garage. Nice little jump from Warped though. It's a nice little speed shot, but Olga taking that height, trying to get another pick, seeing if they can get Deox, but actually Duo is going to go down to Deox. He's got the soldier chasing him as well, but Olga does go pretty low. And
Mular's all alone. This is so terrible from the French team.
Aubriac with some rockets onto Raph. Olga going down as well. That was really well played by Aubriac, getting that high ground. That bombing was perfect, and he's created that space, that huge opening for his team. And look, Warp's now coming in. The boys from Bus Crew are looking to push their way into second. Alien decides to use the Uber, gets Deox. Adalos just trying his best to jump around because Martin doesn't have his Uber just yet, but they've slowed it down so nicely.
All the frags though,
Warped.
All the
getting the frags.
I'm so confused about their last push into mid. Mid was pretty much free for the Frenchies for so long, but they didn't take the initiative. Now they are forcing off the Uber from Martin. Looks like they're going to be losing both scouts for it unless Alien can juke around a little more. Raph coming in straight after the Uber charge. Mular, his heals are a bit delayed, so Duo is going down in the meantime.
But Olga in behind does actually trade with Martin. He actually got killed by Martin there, which is good last-ditch attempt. But sadly, he is going to go down. But they have the player advantage, and I think they want to go maybe raw and just go straight in with no heals. It's very, very questionable. Deox doing that time. Karnak's actually going to go down. Adalos now coming in. Huge damage onto Raph. Raph is a pick, and they do get that pick. And even though they didn't have heals, they put so much pressure onto them. And Alien not checking for the sticks is going to go down, as he's just got that greed for those picks. And losing only their scouts during a dry push without your medic is really, really good.
Yeah, especially when you get a demo man for it. They're not in optimal position to continue here, but that was definitely a disruption to the French team's plans. Aubriac hiding on the left-hand side. Tries to get onto Mular, but it does not work. And now the Bus Crew kind of know they can hang around a little bit in yard here. Deox getting caught out, but they use the Uber charge for that kill. They drop Raph as well in the Uber. All these Ubers for the French team are being so just miserable. Grumpy.
Yeah, it's so scrappy right now from both these teams. I feel like you can't say that one's making more mistakes than the other. They're both making pretty interesting mistakes, but sometimes they're able to capitalize on it. Like Buscrew know when to bring in the aggression, but Duo
nice
with a nice force onto Martin. They're doing
hiding behind those crates. No one checked him out, and he just loops around behind. Olga is still very far behind enemy territory as the fight is now happening in this yard area. Warped is going down first, but Alien gets traded out.
Yeah, it's actually been good pressure out of Buscrew as a result of their Uber being popped off. But now, I don't think they know Olga's behind. Olga, yeah, just no one's looking for him. No one's really thinking
He's hiding in the exact same place that Duo was.
Yeah, he's just going to walk.
But Deox is hiding as well. Deox is on the pack, and he gets straight in onto Moolah. It's a drop from Deox! Amazing onto Moolah there. Raph is cleaning all the players up, but it looks like the fight is going the way of the French in the end anyway. They do manage to retain control of mid. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, and whilst that was happening, Olga actually managed to get Martin as well, so it's a med for a med. So even though Deox got that drop, because of Olga's play, you know, it's sadly, again, Buscrew not able to capitalize on some of the chaotic plays that they like to kind of do during this match so far.
Yeah, and now with both medics going down, neither team has Uber. Looks like they're just going to play it safe on the point. No one's even peeking around yet from the French side. Mulah's just building up this Uber charge with Alien over here, and Martin doing the same with Adelos. Waiting for their opportunity to get Uber charge and try something out. It's still 0-0, Grumpy, after this first 12 minutes of the game.
It is currently 0-0, but that's not something you should be surprised about with Granary. I've said this before, it has 7 points.
Yeah.
It's a 5 CP map with 7 points. Yard feels like a whole additional point and area to defend. So it is kind of a weird state of a map. It's wonderful and I love it, but it's just that kind of slows things down a bit, and it's really down to how the teams can make the right decisions during Uber exchanges when they get those little advantages. And it feels like sometimes that these teams are just sacking into each other, and the other team is just dealing with those sacks quite well. Olga's now coming in and having a 1v1 with Warp. Warp goes super low, so does Olga with 1 HP. He looks to get the final frag, but he's not getting out. Not with 1 HP. You are Speed Demon, but you can't dodge bullets, and he is going to go down.
Yeah, and Aubriac putting some pressure onto Duo as well, looking like maybe he wants to counter-sack. He's baited Karnax in. Deox now wants to finish off that frag, backing him up in the choke, but he's making some space. Deox just running through, checking things out. Olga has respawned, and he is on Spy.
Is that a check, or is that... he's left spawn.
He's all the way to mid on
Time to show Deox how to play his class, as right now they are setting up with an equal Uber situation. They should be counting the enemy players and seeing if anyone's missing, as Duo looks to create a little bit of a distraction. And have they managed to get that spy in? Olga not really gone in. He's kind of hanging out with his team. I think he's waiting for everything. He's going to check what they've got. I think he's going for maybe a demo man disguise. That's kind of questionable, but they're going to be looking to do it now. You need to go for a less vocal player when you make a spy play, because someone who talks all the time, if they're talking about being somewhere and you don't see them there, it's quite easy. But they need to get the decloak perfect on Olga. He's very far behind, but Warp's currently watching Z, so if he does decloak.
Yeah, and it's tricky to get through the shutter on Spy as well. Obviously, none of Buscrew are near the shutter. If they hear it open, they know it's definitely not them, so they'll know that something is afoot. Warp now found
Warp knows. Saw him in the corner of his eye. Olga manages to get out though, going to lunchbox. Deox actually going to join in with the spy fun, and Olga just chilling out whilst the Buscrew are just holding against Garage right now. And it's a really awkward situation to be in as a team, because you're waiting for these spy plays to happen. If they aren't coming to fruition, then you're not really doing anything. It can be very awkward because you haven't got that scout to go in. Olga is going to get cleaned up by Warped in the end though, and Deox slinked his way in. You know, You can't beat the man at his own game, and he's waiting for an opportunity to cause some chaos.
He's taking it almost as an insult, and now wants his
Oh, he missed it! What is he doing? Never mind, that was even worse. As that questionable play, that miss on the backstab just means that, you know, things are going to fill out into a very similar situation. 15 minutes, not a single round. It's Granary. It was like this yesterday between Ascent and 7. It's one of those things where you need to get that little bit of momentum.
Nice sack.
Very, very difficult.
Whoa,
yeah, managed to win it out, and it gets out on 7 HP. So that's actually a player add, which means that they can send in another player on another angle.
Olga goes all the way in onto Martin, doesn't manage to get the frag, but in the meantime, Karnax has taken all this space on the flank. He's snuck his way into Lunchbox. Deox chasing him down. Will he be able to spot him out in time? No. Deox looks like he's going to win this 1v1, takes him by surprise. And Aubriac coming to help out as well. Deox does get the kill in the end.
He is going to get cleaned up, and as a result, things fizzle back into a situation where both teams are trying to break it. How would you, break this stalemate right now? They've tried the spies, they've tried sacks. What's there left to do?
I would go with banners, which is what Olga's been trying to do. Olga is on the conch. He didn't use it last time, I believe. And now, actually, Martin's taking a trade straight away. He's flashed several players, and Warped goes down in the Uber charge as well. Deox getting in behind, though, fighting against Karnax. Nice headshot from Karnax, actually, on the close-range scout. Will keep his team with the momentum here. They're going to try and take this through Garage with the 2-player advantage. Aubriac is putting the damage into them, though. Him and the combo of Yon are putting out the damage, keeping everyone locked in Garage. Karnax, though, gets the sight line and takes down Yon.
Oh my god, this is so big right now as they're pushing through, getting another frag as well. And you know what? That was really well done. The only person I remember doing something very similar like this on a very stalemated is Gink. When Gink was playing against Ascent, and it was a play like that during Copenhagen Games, I'm pretty sure. And that was super impressive. And right now, they're looking to...
Olga's in with the sack.
Oh, where's Olga? Olga's just like completely behind in the meat of people. They can start pressuring from that damage as well.
The Buzz crew know they've sacked a player and they still have a sniper. This could be seen as a 4v6, so they're definitely going to send Warped in, and Deox also poking around will eventually back out after that counter sack. I wonder if Olga's going to come back up on banner. Yes, he is. He's switched to the buff banner, actually, as Eeply was talking about those mini crits he might be.
Does he have a direct hit? No, he doesn't have a direct hit, though. That would have been
He's not that optimistic. Yeah, he would have been cheating off the stream.
We need to see the 1000 IQ player of the Aliwar Baobab rebooties middles.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
With the quickies, was it, as well?
Yeah,
Karnax.
But Deox actually takes down Karnax.
And Warped is getting a sightline. Oh!
Some good rocket, and Alien goes down as well. And that's actually really bad for Quarantine mass damage. Good work from Warp there. Some beautiful rockets to get that force out. And that means that it looks like a little bit of play for point. Olga's trying to spam it as much as possible. But the stickies are causing them not to go forward. Deox does go down, though. And right now, they are trying to get this cap up and maybe click forward.
Alien is on Spy as well. Alien knows they have a full Ubercharge advantage against him, and he needs to drop Martin here if he can. He's going to get the Uncloak off in Z. And he does get onto Martin.
Oh, he gets it! No way, he gets the drop, and then that could be... Adelos is the only survivor left.
Yeah.
Deox just respawned. This could be
This is where we see a lot of rounds decided on Granary, is not even on the last itself, but on a wipe from second. Deox has to block this cap, and he does. All the other players are on last or respawning. They're not going to be able to get the cap, and they're not going to be able to get the round off of Deox's play just then. That was absolutely crucial.
No way, that's insane. That's such a good play from Deox.
They still have the 100% advantage on the French team, though. It's not all over for Bus Crew. They are still sweating here.
But both teams have struggled with their last pushes so far during this matchup, so it's not all she wrote, and it's going to be a case of they have to pull out something really, really beautiful from Quarantine mass damage for them to actually get that climax I mentioned before. Shout out to X-Time, loving that. And right now we're going to be going forward and getting some frags from Adalos on the heavy. Yon getting pressured, Alien just is only going to point, but Olga's going to go down, and even though they had that uber advantage, like I said, they had to pull something special. Yon stayed alive.
Yeah, they pushed into the side of the map where there were no players. There were absolutely no frags in the Uber. Aubriac did a great job of just controlling those pipes, obviously what everyone talks about on last. And now Yon with a huge bomb in the Uber takes down Mular and Karnak straight away, getting into mid as well. Raf now trying to catch the medic off guard if he can, but Deox is going to be cleaning that up as well. It's 4 down. Olga sacking in, doesn't get anything either.
Whoa.
This is a full perfect wipe from the bus crew. They take down all the Frenchies without losing a single man.
That was really well played by the bus crew. And this is all because of Deox.
Yeah, all because of him blocking that point.
That's all off the Deox play. And I mentioned it before. One thing that guaranteeing them mass damage, I struggled there, needs to remember is information. If you're going to push into something, make sure you know what you're pushing into. They pushed into nothing and they used their Uber. They were about 50% Uber before they met any players. And that's the worst situation you want to be on the last point. You want to milk it as much as possible.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're denying that damage going towards you and use it at the last second. Like right now, they're not using until they pop in, and now they're going to be trying to clean up Alien, clean up the Sentry as well. They now need to clean up the mobile Sentry, which is the heavy, and Yon's going to do it. Now they need to start putting pressure onto point. Clean
Mular's
up.
going to get his Uber charge in time though. Mular's managed to get to 100%. He's using onto Raf, does drop Karnax from the Uber though, so it's only 2 people who can help him ward off the bus crew here. Martin going down to Olga's bomb, but Deox playing the point. Raf has to block this, and Olga comes just in time to save the day.
Yeah, it could have been a situation where, again, like bus crew struggled to finish off the round. They could have backed out and then recommitted. They had the damage, they had some really good picks. They should have just backed out for a second, taken a break, got the high ground, then gone back in. They got the key off passes out of the game. Raf is actually taking a lot of pressure. Karnax is going to go down, and Warp's going to be betrayed, but Aubrac's going to be going on to Raf. They've got the demo down, so this is a good opportunity for them to dry push. Olga is up above with Duo. They're getting denied. We managed to get Aubriac, and Deox is pressuring from the side as well as Adalos and the rest of his team push forward. Yon's now going for a commit onto point. Does actually push off Mular. They're going to get cleaned up. It's going to be a wipe, and that's going to be the first round going to the bus crew with 8 minutes left. That's a good play all in all from the bus crew, actually coming back in off a key pick, which was the Raf pick.
Yeah, and I feel like it's almost more the Frenchies' laziness and kind of sloppiness that they let themselves lose the round rather than letting the bus crew winning it. Obviously, starting off with Mular getting forced just by changing positions, kind of without checking where Warped was in lobby, and then obviously Deox just being able to rush and stop that cap. As we come into the second mid of the game, 20 minutes in.
Warp's made a really good play on Mular. He's going to actually get that frag out as Raf goes down as well to Aubriac. And right now, the bus crew are looking a lot stronger on this mid, only losing Aubriac. As I say, that Adalos does go down, but Olga is the return frag with Karnax and Alien, the only surviving member of his team, fighting in garage right now. This is going to be a wipe on mid, unless Alien can slink his way out. Actually, he wants to go for a recommit into mid with 12 HP.
Well, he has to. He's stuck behind them. He's going to die sooner or later. And honestly, it better be sooner because he wants to be alive on Engineer or something for this last hold with 100%, yeah, 100% advantage. But it looks like Karnax is already getting ready to do that. And the delay has actually managed to let the Frenchies take a bit of a sightline into second. They might be trying to spam out some players just to let Mular build a little more by slowing down this push.
Yeah, you can as a demo really kind of lock this down if you play it right, and that's what Raf's trying to do, trying to deny them. But only Deox and Warped was actually capping it out. So I feel right now that it's more going to be down to how this Uber comes in. As they come in on the left-hand side, they're going to clean up the sentry gun. Duo goes down as well. Yon has completely changed his side, trying to deny the people coming out of respawn, but he's not able to do it. As Martin goes down, the Uber has been used as well, and sadly, Adalos is the only one left in. He's going to end up going down. Oh, Deox actually slinked his way back in, but he's at 40 HP. He is going to go down. And with Warped, the only surviving member in Lunchbox, I think he's just going to lose through drop down.
Yeah, that was almost a 6-man sack just for the Force there. Buscrew really not getting much done at all. And now Raph already taking presence in Yard. They're going to get 2 of these metaphorical points, as you were saying. Yard is a whole nother beast that we don't see in any other map in TF2, really. It's got choke points on either side of it that can really be controlled. It is almost like having another control point in the map. And it seems like the stalemate is just going to happen here between Yard and Middle. Both teams on even Uber. No one's trying anything funky yet.
No, right now it looks like Olga wants to take a bomb in. He's going to get completely denied. He is going to have to try and back out. He may die as a result. But Raph actually uses this opportunity to go in, deal some decent damage. Aubriac going down to 7 HP. And that just off that play, they're going to go in using their Uber, trying to get the exchange. But they need to start leaving now because Martin got 100% Uber. He's going to want to be going into mid. Yon's going to take that forward. Going to be looking to try and get on to Mula. Good damage onto them, but Deox is behind, just waiting for the players to come into him, but he doesn't need to, as the aggression from Auriac doing his work gets his man, and Warp's coming in behind, going to clean it up onto Raph, but he's the only survivor as the rest of the bus crew gets crushed as they're trying to come through garage.
I don't know how Deox ended up where he did, but it was really great how he could cap the second point. Was already putting pressure on it as people were coming into Yard, and then obviously once the fight started occurring, Deox can immediately wrap around behind, and they were really fighting the battle on 2 fronts as the bus crew trying to come back into mid now. Aidlos getting time on point, Aubriac controlling the high ground. All of the French team know they don't belong here. They are straight out to their own Yard.
Yep, and right now, because they're backing up, they need to really lock things down. They can't take, it's so hard to come back in general on Granary, and you can't concede another round. If they want to win this best of 3 now, they need to equalize. They need to get some really good plays, and they need to be playing a little bit tighter than they currently are. It feels very disjointed in certain exchanges from current team Mass Damage. Olga and Duo, though, are doing some very good, like both soldiers on both teams are putting in the work, but it does feel very disconnected between the soldiers and the scouts.
Yeah, Deox clearly being man of the match so far with all his plays, but they do manage to force off the Uber charge in the choke here. Martin has to pop onto Aubriac, who's going forwards to try and get the return onto Mula. Mula using in a very unfortunate position. They're not going to be anywhere near these players to get them in the Uber. Raph has to bomb forwards onto Yon. There's a little demo man 1v1 going on here, which Raph does eventually win. And
He
now
went down to 30 HP though, and he was buffed and Yon wasn't. So Yon is an absolute weapon in the Demo Man class. Like you can't give him an inch because he will take a mile at some points.
Yeah, and now the French team will be getting their ground on middle. It looks like the respawners from Bus Crew want to contest Yard, and they do have Deox forward spawn sniping here. He's not going to be able to get any shots yet. Gets just 1 body shot by the looks of it, and he's going to back spawn, which is the wise thing to do. One pick still onto Aubriac means that Karnax and Woe in the flank are going to try and take some space. Yeah, Karnax with the counter sack.
And Woe now looking through Lunchbox. It is really interesting right now because they're moving inch by inch. They're getting the frags. They're getting Deox. Now they need to really translate this. They know that the current mentality from current team Mass Damage is to come through here with the Uber charge. They're going to try and get them to warp, but again, their Ubers are so early with everything they do. They're like 50% Uber when they actually start exchanging or battling, and it just causes them to collapse very quickly. If they had better, more consistent Ubers, I feel like they would be collapsing on Bus Crew much better, but they seem very afraid of Yon's damage, of Aubriac or Warps getting in on them, and as a result, they're just having really weird Ubers.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It seems more like they're going with Uber first, okay, now where's Martin? I need to find Martin, rather than kind of finding out where the combo is and going straight into them and getting that force straight away. Karnax, again, just throwing his body in to try and get onto...
It's all about the information.
Yeah, absolutely. And Warped also gets Woe after Karnax had sacked in, so it's 2 picks on the side of Bus Crew, and with 1 minute 30 left, this is a very bad position for the French team to be in. We could be going to a 3rd map here, Grumpy.
Yeah, the French team, if they want to bring this to a golden cap, really need to pull something out of the bag. You know, Yon's mentality right now is he's going to want to keep his team as stable as possible. He's going to be like, guys, we need to just not overextend. We need to get anyone who comes onto the point, we need to deal with them. If anyone goes into lunchbox, we need to rotate and meet them. We can't let them get this round. Ubers are equal. Mula maybe looking to go in with another Uber again.
Yeah, all the way up
But
top.
waited a little bit more, but yeah, still not found the med until the last second. The exchange is happening. It's still very much a good Uber for the bus crew. They do have Olga in behind, up above, with 2 soldiers very low, so they can get pressured. Deox manages to clean it up. Duo goes for the play as well. He is going to get cleaned up. 35 seconds left. And it's not looking good for Quarantine mass damage. They need to get, you know, like everyone needs to dive to a trap right now. That's what they need.
Yeah, Martin is only using when Mular's Uber charge is already down to about 30%, and that's before the players in Mular's Uber have even been firing shots. But now they are getting the exact opportunity that they needed. They're leaving one player to cap as Alien runs into last. He's taking this 1v1 against Adalos. It's not going to work out. Mular now going for some desperate saws. All the rest
Yeah, but
of
the players are coming back in.
themselves into last. Karnax
Adalos
just
goes
needs to take
down.
on the medic.
Oh my God! No way! What is it with Granary and I-Series?
Oh my
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Karnax the Yeti, absolute last second cap off of just a miracle wipe from second. The bus crew are going to be seething about that one, as we do now have a golden cap on our hands. And I think the Frenchies could finish this off in 2 maps if they just stop making these critical mistakes.
What is it with Granary? My heart can't take this. You know, I'm an old man now. I'm at least over 12. And
Look, about 50.
about 50. I
Yeah.
feel about 50. That Granary has aged me. But I don't know if we are going to be doing it, if we're going to be going over to our analysis desk. But for the time being, we're going to talk about it. What's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, my thoughts are that in those situations on second, they need to be trying something different than just running the Uber in from up top and then having to get down onto the lower ground and start shooting at Martin. Because as soon as the first shot gets thrown at Martin, he pops off the Uber, and the Uber's basically already gone from Mular's side, and they're getting all those frags off of that. If Martin even wanted to try and milk, he could easily be just not using at all to those, because he's getting the opportunity to basically have a faded Uber right in front of him every time that Mular tries to use in.
I think it's just fair. I think it's genuinely fair for Mular. He doesn't want to drop his players. He doesn't want anyone to go low. Like, one thing you'll notice with a lot of milks is players will drop to, 50 HP. And
Yeah.
I don't think during any Uber that really happened, unless they weren't even connected to the Uber, and then they would just get dropped by Mular. I think Mular needs to really be thinking about his process.
I think it's probably less about that and more about where he's choosing to go from. I think even going from the lower area of balcony, or not balcony, of lunchbox, and clearing out that balcony up top just to check no one's hiding there, then you're closer to the Uber. You're not going through a tiny little doorway. You've got quite a large opening in front of you, but you won't have to force through immediately. It could be getting them, better Ubers into this second house area.
Yeah, it's not just about the Ubers though. For me, it is that disconnect. It feels like Karnax and Alien are playing a very different game to Duo and Olga, and Raf's just getting pressured where he really doesn't need to be getting pressured. He'll be playing against players that really, you'll see that Raf's on his own so much. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't have Alien, he doesn't have Karnax to back him up, and he'll be taking 1v1s with scouts way too much.
I don't know if that's how if it's his team leading him, or if that's how Raf wants to be, because obviously he says that he's moved on to Demoman to be this commanding force in the team. He's just going real deep. He's absolute go mode, or even if he's all on his own, he's just bombing forwards and getting caught out quite a lot, as you were saying. So the other thing that they really need to be watching out for is just taking their time. Like, the French team have been losing a lot of their opportunities to critical mistakes, like letting Deox rush the point and stop the cap, or Moolah just wandering around, not really in any position at all, and getting forced by Warp to just walking through a door. Things like this are mistakes that you can't be making, but thank God they've managed to pull it back to Golden Cap at the last second.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mentioned it, but I kind of said as a joke, well, all these players need to die to a trap, and they just got mulched and shut. They didn't die to a trap, but they just died to all the spam coming out of Raf, Olga, Duo. But one thing I will say is Olga and Duo have done some really good plays this game. They've really managed to force or get, whenever there's been like, when Moolah dropped, you had, on the other side of the map, Olga was killing Martin. They denied these advantages a lot, and you found that even though Bus Crew were getting the advantages, and even though Quarantine Mass Damage were getting advantages, they weren't translating them into full, rounds because of how easy it was for the other teams to deny it.
Yeah, I completely agree. It looks like we've lost one player from the server. Who's that we've got missing? It's
Duo.
Duo might be taking a loo break, but after that we'll be getting straight into this Golden Cap. And do you think the Bus Crew will still come out ahead like all our analysts have predicted, or are the French team taking your fancy now?
I feel like the French team can bring it back, but the Ubers need to be so much stronger. They need to play off their advantages, because I feel like at some points they're getting free advantages from the Bus Crew. And if the Bus Crew keep giving them these advantages, then we're going to see it go to 2 rounds to Creatine Mass Damage. But Bus Crew in general do have some experienced players, and if they can stabilize into an environment where Yon should be able to pop off once they're out of mids. And, Orbiak has been playing his goddamn heart out. We had the amazing play from Deox to stabilize it. But honestly, I feel like they're so evenly matched. Like, it could go either way. And I feel like the French team are kind of bringing it more right now.
Yeah, the French team are bringing a lot of plays, as you said, from Duo and Olga. The soldiers are really being able to clutch things where they maybe shouldn't be able to. But I've seen that the Bus Crew have been a lot more organized in their play. They have a lot more of a game plan. Obviously, the French team trying to get into second, doing the same thing over and over with no success. Try it again. Try it again. Try it again. And it's not worked any time. Whereas the Bus Crew have been like organizing these plays into second, adapting to what they're doing. They've been trying to bait people onto point. We saw before Deox playing the point while Yon was trying to sticky off, get people caught in traps, things like this. They've been doing sacks as well, doing trades from other areas like Z, whereas yeah, we've seen none of that out of the French team.
No, they kind of do the same thing over and over again and wonder why it's not working. And yeah, so it could go either way. I want to see Bus Crew bring it to a third map, because I love the Bus Crew. Ever since the first Copenhagen games, they've always had a soft...
Ever since Poison was on it.
Ever since Poison was on it. Do you know how you get good is when you get in my heart, have Poison on your team. Love your Electro. But right now, we are going to be coming into this Golden Cap, and right now Yon's a little bit quicker. We're going to see things start. Everyone's going to be a little bit more passive, maybe. No, Orbiak wants to go in onto Raph, maybe deal a little bit of damage here and there, and Duo with some big rockets. But Yon manages to get Moolah. Martin needs to now stay alive because they got this Uber advantage, but Orbiak goes down. Deox and Adelos, Australian scout combo mentality right now.
In the skybox,
yeah, he was in.
Them out. Yeah, that is such a good idea from the Bus Crew just to get out, because if all of those French players had decided at the same time that they just wanted to throw themselves at Martin, they could have definitely got onto him there and just won out this mid fight and got the advantage on their side. But now it is Martin with the full overcharge advantage. Looks like Olga was trying to find a place to hide to get the sack. Karnak's going a bit forwards into Garage, just...
Yeah, they're looking to go in. Like, Olga just bombs straight in, tries to get the force. He's still in. He manages to get Yon, so that's a big play from him, and that is going to slow down the Bus Crew once again coming forward. Raph goes in. Oh, Jesus, they're getting absolutely collapsed upon, but they managed to get onto Raph, and because of those sack plays in, trying to get the force, that collapse going on, it wasn't enough. They had a great mentality, but they were only catching one person at a time.
Yeah,
they
it was
wanted to
badly
spread
timed.
that damage.
It was badly timed is what it was. They've thrown 3 players into the choke before Martin has walked through the choke. They've ended up with 3 players there going down for nothing, basically because Martin had 3 players in front of him. He had like a body shield of the bus crew stood in front of him and doesn't have to use off, but the Ubers have evened up anyway, as we can see here. Both teams in this stalemate again are, who's going to try and break it?
Bus crew are going to want to try and break it right now, just because they've even though they got control of mid, which they can win off, I feel like they want to get on to the next map. They don't want to stretch this out. They don't want to have extra stress added on them.
Deox is getting a sightline,
and he's forced Muller into a really awkward situation where he couldn't really peek out. So there weren't that many heals being able to dish around, but they dealt with him really nicely. Like Olga just watching that door, spamming Deox the moment he comes in, and Muller just staying behind, doesn't want to get headshot at all. And Deox is going to get picked up by Duo in the end. 50 HP on him though. Karnax is actually going to go down. But the pressure coming out of Raf to push them out of Garage is quite a good play from the French team. And we are going to see things stable out again as Bus Crew still looking to get that pressure and keep control of Garage.
Yeah, I like what Bus Crew were trying to do. They kept Muller locked in that corner with the sniper really well. And then if they had got a sack in high from somewhere, that would have been a brilliant play, was to keep Muller trapped in that corner. It'd be so easy to get the rockets into him, but in the end they do manage to take down Deox on the sniper. He's respawned on Spy and he has left spawn, so he's not just checking, he's going to make another maybe critical Spy play, as we've already seen on this map.
Yeah, the critical Spy play was actually by Olga, wasn't it?
I believe there were 2, but Raf is getting pressured really hard. Raf goes down to about 10 health. Deox is dodging spam left and right, manages to get to the shutter. Oh, but Alien has spotted the shutter open, so Deox has absolutely blown his cover. And now Karnax wants to get some positioning. Duo also pushing forwards into Garage.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of exchange here and there between spam, but really, like, Karnax just wants to maybe go in, but they're not able to capitalize on, like, the loss of Deox isn't that big, and they were looking to maybe go forward, but, you know, scouts aren't a spam class, and this is a spam-heavy map.
Yeah.
If you lose a scout, you lose the ability to commit a frag, but not necessarily. Oh, what are you saying hello to?
I just saw Olga switch to Pyro for a second. I thought we were going to see his signature hijinks, but he has gone back to Soldier. Just put on the buff banner. So looks like the French team are going to be the one trying to break this stalemate, build a banner up. Deox, in the meantime, trying to get a sightline if Raf gets a bit too cocky.
It's a buff banner as well, the lesser of the 3.
Yeah.
Before. Yeah, once again, it's very much that slow play. They're waiting for the Deox frag, and Deox is actually going to get fragged. And as a result, once again, we see the pressure, and Yon actually manages to clean that up. And that's good opportunity for them. They're going to want to go forward. If they can get the force off these 2 frags, that's perfect. That's really what they need to do, is just get that force. Orbrak looking to come in, but Karnax is in behind it, having a 1v1 with Warp, but he did become an ultimate life form of 1 HP scout, but the Uber exchange has happened as well. There's so much going on. Fights left, right, and center. Looking a little bit better.
Orbrak's in behind as well. Orbrak gets onto Muller.
Gets the frag. Olga goes down. We're going to see Deox pressuring them. They're going to be able to get Alien. Raf is backpedaling with Duo. The spam's coming in. Deox does go down, but Adalos on the chase. They have no heals, but they're just going to get second. Yon behind. They can start pressuring in if they play this smart, or they can just play off the Uber advantage. They don't need to, like, bust it too early. They just hold it back.
Yeah, they've got 40% advantage. Karnax already getting onto that sentry, building that up. Raf's going to put some forwards traps here. Everyone's just waiting for the inevitable. Alien's gone on sniper, going to try and take one quick sneaky shot through the shutter as people come in.
Yeah, they're going to be looking to hopefully drop Martin, but Martin's in a pretty good position right now, and there is no... Oh, I love this. Bombing from window onto the sentry gun, being suspended, but he gets the sentry gun down. Yon now pressuring the right-hand side. Raf's going to get cleaned up. We're going to see Olga going down as well. they're doing pretty well to deal with players. They've got 2 players down. The Heavy has come in, but the damage is going on to him. He will be dealt with. Pipe coming out from Yon as well. They're going on to the point to try and deny it, but it's only 2 players left for the French team, and Boss Crew are going to take out and win the Golden Cap with a very confident last push.
That was a beautiful Uber push. That was lovely. Yon bombing forwards from the window gets the sentry gun down immediately, and then after the respawn wave comes in, the Heavy comes out from the left side, and all these players start flowing back out into last. The Bus Crew really just left their space. They just kind of took their time and kind of recommitted afterwards and got all the frags, all the high ground. Everything went their way. Really perfectly executed last push there.
Yeah, well done from the Bus Crew. And yeah, it was a very different Bus Crew as well. They felt a lot more organized, especially with their reaction to the push. They didn't go in too deep. They waited for the opportunity to recommit or with the Uber push. I think they respected the French team more during the Golden Cap than they did the other time. Like sometimes I felt like they got an advantage and they tried to play off it too soon, and they didn't want to, eventually deal with it. But we will be going to our analysis desk soon. I just need confirmation that we'll be moving across. But yeah, how are you feeling about do we know what the third map is? Do we have any idea?
I don't personally know what the third map is. I'm sure the experts in charge will walk us through it.
Process. So Process is a perfect map just to see, it's the pug map. That's kind of what we call it. But you're going to see, Deox has already proven his worth. So has Karnax as well. So you've got these scouts to contend with on that map. And Warp's a great roamer, old school player. He played on Arctic Foxes back in the day. But I only know so much. I think we've got a wonderful desk that has a lot to talk about. So I'm going to pass it back to Eckstein, Alba the Pineapple Main, and Eapley. Take it away, boys.
Thanks so much, Grumpy and Bomb. And yeah, that truly was an excellent match. That Golden Cap, I tweeted about it. I think that was the closest capture we've ever seen. I've never seen the 0 on the clock and the cap go through. We also, had the Frenchies, put up a very strong performance to get there. And then in the Golden Cap, it was a little bit tough for them. Alba, what were your thoughts on that map and how it played out?
I mean, in the beginning, you had this very, very messy team fights going. So one team would have Uber advantage and get forced. And then the other team would get forced on their Uber advantage. It was just back and forth for a couple of minutes. I think the whole map really went down to Bus Crew stepping up in the Golden Cap. They seemed a lot more calm and collected in that Golden Cap.
Eapley, would you agree with that analysis?
Yeah, pretty much. It did feel like the first 20 minutes of kind of regulation time was just like scrappy fight after scrappy fight. I mean, there was barely an Uber that was used as opposed to being forced. So it was really, really difficult. Both teams, they seemed really equally matched. And it seemed like both teams, it felt like they were panicking a little bit. There were some really, really key moments. In particular, there was one last push we saw, like I said, in the regulation time, where we saw kind of Yon jump in nice and deep. He kind of put down a blanket of stickies, and then he kind of managed to zone out a scout. No one else was really there to take any damage, but he kind of did that panic insta-det, which is kind of unnecessary. And it seems like a little thing, but I feel like that's kind of shows you a little bit the mentality of like they are kind of panicking a bit. They are kind of, not quite sure. They're kind of trying to take things a little bit too fast sometimes. I think that's part of the reason why it was so close. I feel like if Bus Crew had just chilled out a little bit more, kind of, mellowed and kind of did their own thing, which to me it felt like they did in the Golden Cap. It felt like they kind of were much more calm and collected. There was a really, really key bit on the Golden Cap in particular where it was 3 versus 4. They had Martin, they had 2 scouts, and it looked for a second like they wanted to recommit, and it was just like, you can't. Just back out, play it nice and calm, get your Uber, take the rest from there. And obviously, you saw the result. It was kind of a much more relaxed affair.
Yeah, we have the logs here. Checking that out. Adelos, big 26 frags on him. Alba, what stands out for you here?
Well, I just have to point out that the damage has doubled. These numbers are not the actual number.
They're not actually all insane.
This actually is also just the regular time, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, Adel is doing really well. Not getting a ton of damage, but that's not really the scout's job. But getting a lot of frags, cleaning up for his team. And I think that's definitely something that stands out in these logs.
Yeah, I thought that Jan was a big performer, stat-wise. Really, I guess the standout number there is just the number of deaths. He was like in basically the medic category, 6 on Mula, 7 on Martin, and then Jan just right behind him with 8. He had some just kind of big pipes, big damage. Eeply, do you have some thoughts on that? You know, the Bus Crew's ability to protect Jan in this match?
Yeah, obviously it's really, really important. If you can keep your demo alive, you can keep him kind of, you know, going forward and doing his thing. That means you have a real consistent damage source. And obviously, you know, for a lot of the game, it was fairly significant. Obviously, over the course of regulation time, they were ahead for a little bit longer than it was equal. But honestly, to me, it felt kind of so matched up. And I don't even know how, like, the very last cap by the Frenchies even, like, happened. I mean, like, it just seemed like a kind of weird crumble where, you know, the Bus Crew were like, oh, yeah, it's basically fine now. There's only, like, a few seconds left to go. One of those, like, really weird situations where there's, like, 3 ticks left in the 7 they managed to cap. But, like, I feel like really it was close, but Bus Crew, you know, only fractionally, but they kind of just deserved to win it in regulation.
Yeah.
I think if they had lost the golden cap, they would have just been crushed.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And one of our casters did sort of describe the Frenchies' play style as maybe a little lazy. Would you agree with that, Alba? Do you think that they just needed to bring a little bit more awareness to what they were trying to pull off?
I think at times they got a little bit over-eager, and you saw like 1, 2, maybe 3 players sometimes just feed in without any rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
I think if they could coordinate like a double stack from it, they would have a lot more success. But especially when they were attacking Bus Crew's second, Karnax would run in like 3 or 4 times and die by himself.
Yeah.
If he would coordinate that with a Solly, he could have found a lot more success.
Yeah, Corenson mass damage as well. They tried to pull out some Spy. Wasn't necessarily too successful. As we see the stats here from Golden Cap. Mula dying 3 times. I mean, obviously, you're only playing 1 rounds. That can't happen, right? Eeply, anything you're seeing there that you'd like to point out?
Really, from my point of view, it came down to the fact that it was a fairly equal mid. The only difference was the fact that Martin managed to live, so they had the Uber advantage to play with. We then saw the exact kind of situation Albert just said about, where we had so many of these Frenchy players kind of, you know, they jumped in 1 by 1. You know, I mean, like, they managed to get Jan, like, really nice rockets from Olga, credit where it's due, but it didn't really matter. Like, getting Jan in that situation, it didn't really make that much of a difference, especially when the scouts on the side of Bus Crew were doing really, really good work. I think basically there were 2 moments that the Golden Cap came down to. The first was Martin managing to live on that mid, which was fantastic, but after that it was pushing from mid into yard. And there was one moment where a soldier jumps nice and deep straight onto Jan. If he'd taken down Jan, I don't think they could have continued in the same way.
Yeah.
But their scouts were positioned perfectly already on the crate, on the high ground. They just nuked that soldier, allowing Jan and Martin to keep moving forward. And I think that was so crucial. After that point, they had an Uber advantage, they had player advantage, they had everything working well for them, so they could just go straight to second, do whatever, go to last.
Now, both of you guys were, you know, just throughout our analysis have been leaning towards Bus Crew. Do you think there's anything that we've seen in this map that kind of makes you change your mind as we look forward to heading into process here, Alba?
I think I feel more confident saying Bus Crew for the next map. Just what we saw from the Golden Cap, I think that would carry on into process. John being very good in process. I just quickly want to do a shout out to Deox and his play.
Oh yeah, definitely.
0-0. I think with that play, he really changed the game and saved Bus Crew. In that moment, you're alone against 5 people, and there's only one thing you can do, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
Big shout out.
Eeply, do you feel the same way that Bus Crew will just be able to plow through here on process, that the Frenchies perhaps, you know, might have just missed out on their best chance to win this matchup?
I think that was their best chance. I think the next map will still be really, really scrappy. I think we're going to see a lot of similar situations, at least for the first half of the game. It's going to be scrappy. There's going to be loads of like Ubers and like Uber trades and kind of post-Uber fights, which is just kind of coming down to a few really, really crucial shots. But I think the biggest thing right now is if Bus Crew want to go through, they need to take a breather. They need to be like, okay, you know, like you never want to go out 2 maps to 0, right?
Yeah.
So I can imagine after that first map, they were feeling a little bit just like, you know, this is our tournament, kind of, not tournament lives on the line in that kind of way, but this is a really, really crucial game we want to win. They might have been a bit on edge. Now they've got this kind of win, you know. It all comes down to this last map. They can be a little bit more like, okay, yeah, we deserve to be here. We deserve to do this. We should be able to beat this team. Yeah, I think it's going to come down so much to can their scouts kind of remain kind of confident, play around the team in the correct way, not kind of get a little bit overzealous? And if the French team's just going to start feeding in players one by one, just pick them apart. There's absolutely no reason not to. On the French side, if they want to win, there's every reason why they can still win this game, Just because we're predicting against them, I wouldn't say it's more than about like 60-40, even with the prediction. The Frenchies still absolutely can. What they need to look at is very different. They need to look at their coordination. They need to look at how they're approaching some of these situations and think, if the bus crew are going to panic, let's make them panic a little bit more, but with some better kind of force attempts, with some better coordination, kind of, aggressing actually at the same time instead of just kind of, everyone going off individual opportunities.
Yeah. And Process is a good map for that. We could see a change in the aggression coming from the French players. Alba, do you think that is something that will hold true? I mean, the Frenchies were showing off some pretty unique strategies, and goalie wash. Granary seemed like, there was a little bit of off-glassing there. We saw the spy, but it wasn't as successful. Do you think that Process represents an opportunity for them to lean on those off-glasses and unorthodox strategies again?
Yeah, to some extent. I think between these two teams, Process is going to be a slow map. We're going to see a lot of sniper with sniper moments, like the mid to second stalemates. We'll see. I don't think either team has utilized double sacks that much. They've been doing some single sacks, but mostly like pick classes. So I'm hoping to see some more double sacks going in this map.
Well, most of our other matchups in the playoff bracket as we're getting started here, it seems like have been 2-0s. There's a few results that are still dribbling in, but so far all of the favorites are making through. Pretty exciting here, though, that we do have an open group winner, contesting with a team from the invite. As we move forward here, do you think that the winner here will have a chance against some of these other teams that are in the invite group?
It's going to be hard for either of those teams. I mean, the French team had a rough group. And Bus Crew, this is their first even game. They've been kind of cruising through the open bracket, so this is really the first test for Bus Crew. So I think both these teams are going to have a tough time. I kind of feel like Bus Crew has a better chance at upsetting some of these better teams, but I don't think it will be the top 4 that they will be able to upset.
How do you feel about that, Epley? Do you think that Bus Crew, kind of being outside of the invite group, sort of has an underdog story? Do you think that gives them an edge here, or do you think that those guys would have preferred to test themselves against these top teams beforehand, even if most of those matches went against them?
It's a little bit difficult to know.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, going into this game, like they really want to win, but I think going into a LAN as a whole, they were kind of taking things slightly kind of easier. They were kind of just thinking they were going to do what they can, see what happens. Realistically, I think, like with what Alba said, if they do manage to go through here, Bus Crew might be able to contest maybe possibly top 5 and Suns, possibly Big Bloke Land if they have headaches from the night before. But realistically speaking, like it does just seem like these teams are just a little bit of a rung below some of the other invite teams. I mean, when your invite group is that stacked, it isn't really negative to say they're just a little rung below. And it does just seem like they'll have real difficulty going forward.
I mean, that's just how the esports world works.
You
got these big dogs, and as you're kind of working up and your team's kind of coming together, you got to face some adversity and you got to come through it. So, the next match that we will be having, I mean, obviously we got to get through map 3 here first. Since this match has kind of dragged on a little bit, we're hoping to just jump right into the next game after this, and we will be covering Big Bloke versus Ascent EU. So that's going to be another interesting matchup. But right now, as we're getting very close to this final 3rd map, both you guys still down for Bus Crew? You want to throw out a score here, Epley, though, on Process?
Yeah, I'm going to say something like a 3-1. I'm going to say still going to be Bus Crew. They're going to take it.
3-1 Bus Crew as well.
3-1 as well. All right. Well, that's our section here. We've shared our thoughts with you guys. Now it's time to hear the words of our fantastic casting duo. So once again, throwing it over to Grumpy and Bum.
Thank you very much, Eckstein. It looks like we're already straight into this one with Bus Crew coming straight across the point. Olga trying to bomb in behind, does get taken down low, and now Karnak's running straight in onto Martin as the last kind of attempt at a play here on middle. Karnak's definitely going to get cleaned up any second now, so yes. Welcome, Grumpy. Welcome to map 3.
Hi, we're playing games. Well, we're watching games, we're watching people play games, and right now Albrecht's playing the bomb roll as he bombs right in on to Mula. Can he get away?
Oh,
he
yes!
can't. The chase. That's how you bomb in on process. You just ignore everyone else, go straight for the medic. Like, no one could contest him. Like, no one wanted to deal with him right there. 100% Uber ad to the bus crew.
Yeah.
Our analysis may be correct as bus crew come in onto this last push bump. Tell me what you see.
The heals just coming up now for the side of the French team. Alien playing this one-shot sniper kind of role. The Uber does come out, but it's not very successful so far. Yon only gets the sentry. People are getting locked into spawn though, and now everyone's just playing the point as everyone's in spawn on the bus crew. This was absolutely perfectly executed.
Yeah, the bus crew just all off that warped play. I love that bomb. If you can get that bomb done perfectly like that, where basically Mula panicked. He went away from his team instead of into his team, and no one could clean up because they were all just chasing Aubriac as he just had blood in his eyes. He wanted that guy dead, and he got his man. As we come into this second mid that we're actually going to be able to catch. Right now, Yon's doing some decent spam work. Soldiers bomb in. Olga and Duo try to get onto Martin, but he's surfing very, very beautifully away. Karnak's going down as well. Soldier's been dealt with. Karnak's been dealt with. Raf's been dealt with. Look at the bus crew. They are looking so strong on this map. This is a completely different kettle of fish. Mula currently into his last, trying to stay alive. The chase is on. Is he going to, he might be able to get away? No, he just kills Adalos. Yeah, he's going to get away. Adalos had like, chasing him like 12 HP. Just 180 to get shot with the arrow, and the bus crew have a little bit of an Uber ad though, about 30%, but they decide because they haven't capped out mid that they're just going to not stay in second, let the French team pressure them, and that's what they're going to be doing, setting up for their second hold right now. Bum.
Yeah, not choosing to cap mid there from the bus crew, trying to rush that forwards with all those players that didn't seem very necessary considering Adalos was the only one within range of Mula anyway, so they've had to give up second for that, which they could have had quite, well, they could have at least contested for it, or it could have even been rather easy for them with how many kills they got on the mid fight, but now it's completely even Ubers. Looks like Aubriac and Warped can try and take some space in IT here, just really marching through.
Yeah, they have gone in, they've done a lot of pressure. Karnak is actually after 1v1. Soldiers have rotated to try and deal with this. Aubriac manages to get the pack, but denied it from his teammate Deox. They've done 20 HP, but that was a little bit of an exchange, looking to set up some sort of play, get a frag on the side. This is a really good rotational play coming out the bus crew. And once again, things are kind of stabled off, waiting to see what play he's going to do, and it's going to be Aubriac doing his thing, but he's going to get shot by Olga in the air. Probably grinning as always from that shot and looking to create a distraction. As we see, Jons is so focused on choke, he's not realised that players are in behind him, and he eventually gets flashed onto, managed to be safe. Karnak just dropped the Uber exchange. Jons looking a lot stronger now. He's able to deal some damage. He is going to be able to get Mula as the exchange happened left, right, all the time. You know, it's frag for frag right now, but Mula is the main pick there. That's so important. Now Olga's pressuring onto Yon, but Yon's got Aubriac as a co-pilot in this. Oh, that pipe. Maybe a second out. Yeah, he's going to get the second on Duo. And Yon is doing some great work. And Ras going to backpedal out. There's a huge Uber ad to Martin and the rest of the bus crew right now.
Yeah, I don't think that entire situation was necessary from the French team at all. Like, off of one sack, I don't think just going for an instant Uber push through IT is really going to work out for you, especially when the enemy team's combo was in choke. They're just not going to use that Uber at all for quite a while, which is exactly why Bus Crew came out on top of that fight. Obviously not convincingly enough to get second, but they are trying to dry push this in now through Sewer, and they have got the frags they needed onto Raf and Karnax with a Demo Man pick as well, and the Uber charge advantage. They're going to be looking to get into last, but they have to remember to cap this time.
Yeah, 100% they have to remember to do that. As Yon is going to go in, he's trying to look to see if he can deny the heavy coming out on the right-hand side. He hasn't managed to deal so much damage, but the soldiers are behind, and they are going to deal a lot of damage. Warp is going to get cleaned up, but that's going to be it as Warp and Aubriac go down. The Uber has been forced out. Again, really early from Mula. He didn't necessarily need to do that. He's given an advantage back to Martin, and they're going to go into lobby, looking to pressure themselves out. Karnak's are very, very deep. He's actually going to find a certain Adelos who's going to push him down, and they're exchanging. Raph trying to get some fights onto Deox, but Deox is going to win out that fight, so they've got the demo down, and they're looking to push in off that pick. Soldier jumping across, Deox is just walking straight in. Oh, that meat shot onto Karnax, and Mula gets cleaned up by Warped as well. Deox and Warped did a huge amount of work there. There is only Alien left alive right now. They're going to be pushing into last, the bus crew. Alien on Sniper trying to do a hero shot onto Martin. Is he going to hit it? No, he doesn't manage to connect it, as Yon is going to tap that off. He's going to clean it up. Alien as he comes back, and that's going to be a second round going to bus crew. A lot stronger in so many different ways.
Yeah,
before.
A lot to talk about on that last fight there. Both teams, well, initially the bus crew using a bit too early with all the players actually still being in spawn whilst Yon was bombing forwards, but then Mula kind of forcing off in an unnecessary way at the end of that fight, and then still electing to try and take second, which didn't really work out very well for them. Aubriac got behind them in that fight and started causing carnage in the back lines. And now as we come into the third mid of the game, what we're going to see them do.
Right now we're going to wait for the soldier bombs to come in as the denial has been done. Adelos not able to really get anything, as well as Aubriac's not able to bomb him. So right now the French team have got some really good high ground, but Warp's denying it, as Deox did go in and has trained with Raph, but that's a good trade. The scout for a demo man, that's pretty good. And Olga trying to remedy the situation, get a pick onto Aubriac, which he does with two really nice rockets, a pop and then a direct. And Olga looking to chase maybe a little bit more, getting that high ground, pushing the bus crew out onto their second, and that's going to be the mid fight going to Curry Team Mass Damage.
Yeah, really clean mid fight, only 3 players going down at all there, and now we are probably just going to be seeing this stalemate here. Raph is only just respawned, getting to mid now, and the sack comes in from Olga pretty much straight away, but it's a distraction for Duo. Martin does have to force off as Duo gets in off of Olga's fake bomb, trying to get out of sewer. I love that play. There are 2 soldiers down but have a full charge advantage, and now Aubriac and Warped want their revenge. Yeah, they're going to get forced out of IT.
They are going to get forced out of IT and not be able to make any decent sort of plays.
Deox is getting a sightline into mid though. That was scary for a second there.
Yeah, and right now it's the French team really needing to start getting some really good team fights going, get control of a lot of things. They have Uberad, they're going to look for the suicide play, and yep, they're going to start coming in, but we like to play very, very, they want to milk it. That's what he does, but straight away, Aubriac does go in, and again, you know, Mula is milking it. You know?
That was...
This is really, really good play from going to Mass Damage, but Ubers have been equalized out now, so even though they milked the Uber perfectly, we're on an equal stomach right now.
Yeah, and Raph getting a bit ahead of himself. He's completely
caught in the back. Manages to get the force onto Martin. This is a perfect situation for the French team. They've managed to get the Uber out with only losing Karnax. Duo actually getting out as a result. And Olga's in behind. I didn't even see him sneak his way into that. He's having the 1v1 against the soldier who is getting beamed, so he is going to go down. But they know that they're in a sticky situation with that 100% Uber ad against them.
Yeah, really nice overall, with Mula obviously not having to use the sniper on second, just really taking his time, and now he's got himself this big advantage as well. Raph bombing straight forward. Sentry gun does eventually go down. All the players are on the left-hand side though. Deox is staying alive way too long, and now the double soldier bomb comes in onto the Uber. It's crunching everyone down. Yon's stickies as well, getting a couple kills. Adelos with the heavy. That is a smash, as Grumpy would say.
That is a smash. That was really, really well played by Wolf and Aubriac there. Did some really, really good work. And Bus Crew managing to hold on to their last, fiddling out that play. And with 20 minutes left, you know, there's still plenty to play for the French team. They're not out of the runnings at all yet. They just need to stabilize. I know I say that a lot, but it's really important to get yourself in a stable footing. And then going on to Yon, but Olga is going to go down. But not a lot of damage coming out of Yon because he was being dealt with in 2. Oh, where is Karnax?
He was in lobby, but he gets...
He was behind. He's now been sent to the Shadow Realm, which means that right now we've got Two players coming back.
I love Bro's hiding spot here. In the regular season, this always worked out well for him, but they used through anyway. Yon taking the bulk of the Uber, bombs into choke, loses his flash, so he will get caught off. Duo goes for a play anyway and does also get caught out. So it's 2 players down for the French team, but they want to use this Uber charge proactively. They're running straight forwards with Alien, but Martin with a...
Oh my god, that was beautiful. He managed to get all the way out onto the ramp of Mini Spire, and it was a good rocket from, like, it was a headshot, so I thought he'd just go straight into the ground, but no, Martin surfs away perfectly, and right now, still frags on the side of the French team, and Yon denying them as much as possible with Warped in tow, and they're just trying to stop them coming in, and yeah, they're gonna, the French team gonna have to stabilize and backpedal out.
Yeah, they do lose Karnax here. It's a pretty safe position to lose him in, as neither team has Uber. But it looks like French team are giving up so much ground. They're so scared of just this one play. They are hanging on all their hope onto Duo in this hiding spot again, as now Aubriac taking the space with a bomb through choke. Yon and Aidlos just going to start walking in. They're biding their time for this big bomb from Duo. Here it comes. He's on to Martin. First 2 rockets will force him off, but in the meantime, Raph has been dropped from his team's Uber. That's Deox getting the frag there, and it's 2 for 2 as Alien Smiley is trying to chase everyone into choke. Duo with the late bomb as well.
God,
so much damage.
Mulch. That's really well played by the French team. They played that Uber exchange really nicely, but can they get Martin? Martin is just out of there, just completely out of there. And Aubriac's now on. Oh, that shot onto Karnax means that slow things down a bit.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to get onto Alien at 36 HP, but that was still a really good play, and it gives them time to set up that last hold.
Well, I don't think they're going to get this last hold. Or, well, the Frenchies had completely given it up, but with this only 35% advantage, they are not going to try anything. They've got Deox on Spy, I think, just checking for any hijinks. Obviously, if you disguise as a certain class enough times, it will tell you if someone is playing as it, but you can figure that out from what weapons they're holding, and if it changes, certain things like this that comp players at this, that people really take advantage of at this level to check for other classes. But now we've just got Deox onto Sniper. Aidlos with a sentry on last, just.
And then we've got Karnax as well on the Sniper. They're going to be looking for angles versus each other. He's currently in the upper IT, looking for an angle. Deox as well, watching, far side of lobby. And he gets the shot straight onto Karnax. That was a snap. Kovacs, maybe?
Maybe they should look for a sponsorship as well, but Warp now getting...
Oh, Deox with the second headshot as well. He's looking at make more entry frags for himself. Olga takes a huge amount of damage trying to deal with Deox, but some really good pop-off from Deox there.
Yeah.
Did you see it? Wasn't it Alba on the boss crew that used to do that?
Yeah, definitely. Alba, obviously, remembering back to last year, the can't possibly be headshot play from our man himself in the Pineapple Suit.
Oh, he gets Karnax again. Deox, I think he's just like a bit of Alba's rubbed off on him right now, and he's getting some great frags. And just because of these bit-by-bit frags, it's making it harder and harder for the French team to be able to set any sort of play up. Because as soon as they lose someone, it just hits another headshot, just casual, just chill. Deox just absolutely popping off right now. What is that, number 5?
Karnax is still trying though. Karnax is upset that he's just got being run over by Deox. He's going to keep trying until he gets him.
Yeah, and he tries, he's looking for that lower, but Deox has done the smart thing and rotated. Looking in upper IT right now. Karnax is actually going to get picked up in one by Aubriac. And Deox again looking for another pick. Doesn't manage to connect on Raph, but he's going to peek again, look for another headshot. Doesn't connect it. Whilst his team is pushing in. And he does get Raph with another shot. He's getting pressured by the scout, but he has a teammate with him. Duo going down as well. Warp's being an absolute bro. Now Aubriac's in, trying to get the force. Whips out the skill stick, not able to do it though. And Alien cleans him up. But that has created the space they need. But Deox popping off on Sniper right now.
Yeah, and all of the players went in from the French team trying to just, cause chaos in lobby, and everyone on the bus crew just survived it perfectly. Now as another trade comes in choke, Yon is going to be bombing in after the back of that, but it seems that nothing's been gained through the team. No one got any kills or had any extreme amount of flashing that could cause anyone to have an opportunity to push in. We're just going to see, again, Deox on Sniper as...
Yon actually gets picked up. Oh, Raf with a nice pipe onto Aubriac as they come in through Suicide. Alien getting picked up, though, by Deox still on the Sniper, so they are exchanging frags, and it's looking a little stronger for the bus crew, even though they do not have their heals anymore. But Mular's getting chased out. Deox looking for the frag, just going to deal 50, but Ada lost with the chase. And I think that's Aubriac as well. No, that's Warp helping out, and the final frag going down, and that's pretty much a wipe. They got their respawners now, but that was a failed push and a failed second for current team mass damage.
Yeah, if they had any other player but Raf there trying to run Mula out, it would have been maybe all right to get some distance between them, but the Demo Man is definitely not the best class to be trying to keep your medics safe. So Martin, sorry, I was about to call him God, as he really wants us to call him, but I'm not going to give in to his demands. He will get himself
You have no power here. As Deox right now looking for another headshot. He hasn't switched off. He's playing this game as Sniper, and no one's going to stop him right now, as he has just been given so much space. And the Bus Crew playing really nicely off it. Oh, come on, Deox. You've been popping off. You should have hit that as Olga does go down. And we're going to see Warp going down as well to Alien. Get a nice little 2K. Deox is going to get collapsed upon as Bus Crew is just getting mulched in sewer. Forces had to happen, and God himself struggling to get out through IT.
Yeah, and Mula obviously staying alive with full Uber advantage. Yon and Deox still down. They are going to be running this forwards through the choke with Raf, by the looks of it, already peeking into second. But Deox has managed to get the forward spawn, which means he is going to be dangerous with this sniper sightline here. And Raf's been left all alone again. Mula turned around to go back for his scout, and Raf apparently choke,
gets the force. That's beautiful. But like you mentioned, yeah, Raf's just kind of all on his own. And Ward was like, I'll take that. I'll take that. He got down to 7 HP, but still, without a... Ooh, Alien's behind. Without that demo, you're not able to do anything as Alien gets spotted out instantly by Deox. But Deox is losing this battle as Alien manages to sneak his way out of sewer, but he's surrounded by red. He's just in this sea of red players. He's trying to make something happen, and he is going to go down. And now the Bus Crew can now contend with the players in front of them that have left in the choke, but they have got that Uber advantage.
Yeah, also in the meantime, Duo went down. Duo was hiding in his classic usual spot, and Warp literally just jumped it and free-fired it. And now the Uber comes in. Not going to be too successful, as no picks going the way of the Bus Crew, but at least they get this ground. They are trying to get in. Yeah,
still trying to go
in.
Good damage, but yeah, no, it's not happening.
They're going to get this cap up. They're 2 down. They have a big Ubercharge disadvantage. They're going to have to leave straight away. Yon with a nice surf stay alive, but he's definitely going to get caught here by Alien. So with 2 picks plus another Demo Man on top of that, and the Ubercharge advantage, Quarantine mass damage going to be rolling all the way into mid. They do cap off the point in time before Yon can get forward spawn, so he's going to be out of the fight for quite a while. Deox really caught out of position here, going to be going down. Aubriac trying to clutch this with the bomb, and does force off Mula. Another kind of unnecessary pop. I mean, even if one of your players is going to die there, you can easily just let them die, because you really want that Ubercharge advantage coming into second, but they're taking the fight here anyway.
Yeah, Alien actually slinging his way behind straight onto Martin. Martin dupes perfectly, but the rockets from Duo do come in, and they do clean up Martin and Yon. And right now, it's looking a lot better for the French team. They've got the opportunity to convert around right now.
Yeah, getting all the way in onto Martin there was so great by the French team, and now they are managing to hang on to this advantage. Deox is coming up on Spy though. Is he just checking? Yeah, it looks like he was just checking for fancy things, and now Adelos will be setting up the sentry. That's the only off-class they're going to have for this last hold, as it looks like Lobby is getting pushed by the French team.
Yeah, Raf's coming in with the rest of his team, and they are going to probably look at doing a play as soon as they get it. They've spotted out the sentry gun. Body blocks coming in from Aubriac being a bro, but Adelos' sentry gun will be down before the Uber even comes in. Raf, nice bomb in, completely separated that scout, but that's about it. He's not getting any key frags right now. Duo is the first one to go in. You don't want to be losing players when you just leave it in with 100% ad first, as they lose Olga, Karnax, 4 players down, only getting Martin. Raf looking to maybe redeem the situation, but he is getting overextended a bit. Oh, Moolah with a nice little arrow onto Deox as he drops down. And right now, Quarantine must damage really need to stabilize a bit again.
Yeah,
You know,
at least they maintained their advantage here by getting Martin in the tail end of the fight. But I mean, just watching Raf's POV as we did there just gives you all the insight you need on why that push went so badly. He didn't do any damage to anyone. He was getting a bit like led around by the scout. Didn't manage to trap anyone in spawn either. It was just an overall pretty terrible Uber for Raf there.
yeah, it's weird. You don't want to be Ubering in, and the first person to go down after after or during the Uber is your teammate.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be getting those key frags. They get the sentry gun down before, like it was a perfect setup of an Uber.
They also haven't been building, and I don't know if they've expected Martin to have been, because Martin's fully caught up on the Ubers. It is even now as Moolah walks this in through 5. Will use off early. Martin uses off now with Moolah just on 30%, trying to get out of 5. He does manage to get out with his life.
Raf was in behind. He looked like he wanted to make a play, but yeah, Albright doing some good work as well. He does end up going down, trying to do it. The walk's now coming in, trying to deny it as well. Trades left and right as Yon goes for the chase as well with Deox. But right now, the bomb's coming in. They're trying to stop him, not letting them do this. But Olga, nice spam, gets Deox down. And right now, Yon doesn't really want to push out.
Yeah, everyone on the bus crew has to be on the back foot with these 3 picks coming the way of Quarantine Mass Damage. Duo getting in, utilizing this space that he's been gifted. Yon goes down, Martin's all alone in the corner. They can just ignore him and play the point, and that's exactly what they'll do. They're getting their first round on the board here, and we still have a game on our hands with 7.5 minutes left.
Yeah,
we could see another golden cap.
Yeah, please don't do it at the last second. I don't think my heart can take it anymore, especially when we've got so many great games to come as well. And it can happen again, but we're going to be looking at these rollouts. Yon looking pretty confident on his rollout, looking like a little bit quicker than Raf, so he's going to get that initial damage in on him. He's far left side. He's already trying to spam and just deny them coming in. As on this 4th mid, it's going to be down to how the soldiers play it off. And Olga is just in the skybox. Doesn't connect a single rocket though. The warp goes down, but Aubriac did some good work to get in on Moolah. Moolah was popped up with the extra rocket, didn't go down, but with the 2 soldiers down and only Karnex down for the French team, it's a bad situation for the bus crew to be in, and they have backed out and given up that mid.
Yeah, at least both medics surviving, so it looks like it's going to slow down here as the respawns come in. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade on these on both of these teams. Olga, though, utilizing this to get in onto Martin. The force comes off. Duo is getting in as well, which means he's going to be caught off. Olga could have done that all by himself, but now Duo also going down means that the bus crew are going to be peeking in through choke, trying to take this straight into Quarantine Mass Damage, who are going to try and bait them forwards and use this Uber charge as we saw before.
And they're trying, like, the best thing they can do right now is just get the force, get out, and then come back in. And Alien wants to take this forward. Look, he's turning around, checking on his team. They're backpedaling out. They haven't got players in position to get the force. Like a soldier jumping in or something like that wouldn't be dealt with by Alien would be perfect. But right now we are seeing that, you know, Quarantine Mass Damage looking for that opportunity to go forward, maybe get this Uber off. But 70% on Martin means that they have to be careful. Like, Martin built it very efficiently. He's at 80% already, so their advantage is dwindling fast. Raf wants to take it on 5. I think he wants to use as soon as he can. And Martin's got his Uber, so now they're in a situation where they're in last. They've sent the player in. He's just been completely suspended by Deox on the heavy, and Martin actually went down 24 HP, so that was a really good play, really good attempt, but it's not going to be enough to force it out. And now we're going to have a bit of a slowdown as they're going to be coming up with ideas to break into this last.
Yeah, Martin with a really nice milk there, going down to 20 health and just having trust in his heavy to finish off that soldier right up in space. It looks like Deox is going to be peeking quite wide into lobby on the sniper. He's going to be the one trying to break out of this position. Raf again, just kind of on his own, betting on himself actually, bless him.
We've been here before with Deox as well, and Deox looked to get a hit, but he hasn't managed to connect anything. And really, it's it's interesting. Like we got the Deox sniper, but no off classes. Not Karnak's not wanting to go toe to toe with Deox again. Can't blame him for that one. Right.
Yeah, everyone's just being really, really passive here. Deox has actually gone all the way back to resupply. He's trying to find a new area to pursue. Alien sacks in, but the sentry gun is literally right on point. It's witnessing every single entrance at this point. Warp's trying to get some space in lobby, gets forced out by Raph there as well. And Deox is trying to get the angle onto the soldier up here. He knows that Olga's standing there, peeks out wide and gets a body shot on Raph, but that's all he can find at the moment.
Right now, the bus crew, you know, 3 minutes. At the 3-minute mark, this is when, as the bus crew, you want to make sure you're not making any mistakes, because when you bring this to a golden cap, that makes it very, very easy for you to go down, and you're going to get tired after a certain point. Like, they've been playing a lot of TF2 right now. They're going to be playing more, whoever proceeds, but right now, you know, fatigue is in there as the play does go in, and they don't manage to force it out. Mula did go down, though, to a headshot from Deox, and now it's very scrappy as Alien tries to go in behind. Olga's trying to distract. Raf's just sticking everything. And that was really good from Deox just to manage to slip his way in, get the headshot onto Mula, and give them 100% Uber advantage.
It's about as terrible as it could have gone for Core Team Mastage. They get the sentry gun down, they use that opportunity to get the sack in, and then they just lose all their players at the same time as the player is sacking. So that gives a big Ubercharge advantage to Bus Crew, who are going to stop playing park the Bus Crew. They're going to get in gear and push all the way out. They do have to use off on Yon, though. Adelos also getting dropped from the Uber, and no one going down on the side of the French team. They're even going to be able to contest second. They don't even have to get out here. Aubriac with a big bomb, though, onto Mula.
Oh, that rocket! That was a good rocket.
Oh, and Dwo does the exact same
Dwo does the exact same thing, and Yon gets melted! Oh no, they're going to be able to equalize it as Alien just walks past everyone. Soldier on there as well, they're not going to be able to do it, and that is the equalizer with 2 minutes left.
With 2 huge bombs and 2 air shot kills on the medic, both teams just trading out, but it comes out in the French's favor as they run all the way to last. And we've got yet another close game on our hand with 2 minutes left.
It's such a dangerous thing to push out of last with an Uber. Like, it's such a dangerous thing to do, because if you don't get the frags, if you don't get the men, you give up too many players, as the Bus Crew did, it can convert into a round. And that's exactly what's happened here. So right now we've seen with 1 minute 40 left, Yon dealing a lot of damage to the players on the left, Olga jumping up, taking that high ground, Dwo coming out of IT, and Martin is the one to go down. Aubriac down, Olga, Raph in the trade, and with Adelos, the only player left, he has to get the frag onto Mula. Mula dodging as much as possible, but Adelos with 1 HP has become the ultimate lifeboat. Is he going to be able to get it? Oh, no.
Karnak's doing a good job of trying to get his meat shield in the way to keep Mula alive. Could have done a better job at taking Adelos down sooner, though. That was a sweat for Mula for sure.
Sweat for me. That was intense. That was really, really good from Adelos. He stayed alive for such a long amount of time on 1 HP. I swear, the moment the scout gets like below 5 HP, you just can't hit him.
Yeah. Well, with 1 minute left on the clock, they are going to have to go fast here, and that's exactly what they're doing. Alien and Mula and Raph all moving through IT. This is a great place to really get close to the players really quickly. As you can see, all those players in rollout can be caught out by the Uber here, which does get popped off onto Alien and Raph, coming straight into last. Warp, the first one to go down, Aubriac falling 2. Everyone is just on this left-hand side from their perspective on the Bus Crew, just holding down this spawn door, but Dwo gets in onto the medic as well.
So hard with 20 seconds left.
Oh my God!
Win it!
With 30 seconds left on the clock, the French team have overtaken Bus Crew.
They just proved everyone wrong.
Yeah.
They proved us wrong, they proved the analyst desk wrong, and what they actually proved is that the invite bracket this year is a cut above the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Every team in the invite group managing to win out their first games, you would expect on the double elimination bracket that we've just come into. That was really surprising that the French team managed to cap that off again in such...
It's double elim, right?
It is double elimination. So this team is not out yet.
Yeah,
they're going to be moving down to the lower bracket.
Bus Crew will be down in the lower bracket, which does mean that they still have an opportunity to stay in the tournament. But congratulations to Quentin Mass Damage for
for proving everyone wrong.
Yeah, proving us
And
wrong.
for switching up their classes, like Raph on Demo Man is really working out.
Yeah.
Olga on Pocket is working out. Obviously, Olga and Dwo going massive.
There is some rough edges. I think there is some rough edges, but there was a bit of a switch in the last sort of 10 minutes where they pushed really, really well. They did some really good plays, especially that last round was so good. Everything was perfect from the French team there. They got the frags that they wanted. They Ubered in at the right times, and they just did a good job of breaking down the enemy team. And I think that's the most important thing, is they should they just need to start playing like that all the time, not in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, and we'll see if our experts agree with you on that one, as we have got them ready on the analyst desk. Again, it's Eckstein, Eeply, and Alba. Thank you for having us. Take it away, guys.
Bye-bye.
Game. I mean, obviously we had a golden cap in our earlier map, and right here, you know, we were like all thinking, you guys were like 3-1.
3-1.
You know,
Not a problem. Not even worried.
No problem. No problem. But then we did see, you know, a pretty significant switch from Quarantine Mass Damage earlier in the game. The first kind of half of that game, they were having issues keeping their medic alive again. You know, obviously excellent bomb-ins from the bus crew, their gameplay allowing them to get those kills, and then they just turned it around. Alba, you know, what were your thoughts on how they were able to adapt mid-game?
I think as the match started, you saw Busker coming in very confidently. Jon has been looking a little bit shaky through the series.
Yeah.
I think at the beginning of this process, and also the golden cap of Granary, he looked really confident. You could really see that he was doing good stuff. But then towards the middle, I think Quarantine, or maybe the Busker, started getting a little bit shaky again when Quarantine managed to get that one round. And in the end, they managed to clutch it out. I just want to also point out that the very last cap there is a very common thing where you almost have the Uber. So you want to get the Uber and then contest the point, but the other team just plays the point and gets the cap before you get the Uber at all.
Eeply, your thoughts there on the changes from the French team, Quarantine Mass Damage?
Yeah, like it kind of took them about, you know, same kind of thing as we've seen in some of the previous games. Like it took them 10, 15 minutes to kind of get into it. You know, we were thinking, you know, once Busker went a couple rounds up, we were thinking, all right, this is going to be like a stomp. I think at one point Al was even like, oh, I didn't really want to predict a 5-0, but I mean, we might be going there. But yeah, like the French team really, really did kind of like turn up. They really got themselves sorted. They started making Busker feel uncomfortable and just kind of, you know, kept on pounding through. Really, really deserved win.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at the logs here, what else we can see from this final match. Does look like some strong performances in different places. One thing I do want to point out before, you know, you guys shout out some numbers. Deox, pretty strong performance here, 18 and 12. But I wonder if he's going to be having nightmares at the end of that one of those rounds where it was a 1v3 situation and he just ran away from the last point and let them capture it. I mean, it obviously was an uphill battle that he would have been facing, but you got to play to win, right?
Yeah.
In fairness, I'm going to give credit where it's due. I'm pretty sure the idea he was going for is second was about 3/4 capped at that point. I think he was desperately hoping. He was doing everything he could to maybe try and win and try and get a back up if they were maybe just a little bit too slow, checking corners and whatever. It was incredibly unlikely, but I think on a percentage basis, that probably was his highest percentage chance of winning.
Fair, fair. What do you see here, Alba, in the stats?
I mean, you see a solid performance from Edelas once again.
Yeah.
Dwo really stepping up in the damage this game. Even Olga, I think the soldiers of Quarantine really did a good job this match.
We'll take a peek here at the med stats as well. Martin just getting a few less deaths, but Mula also picking up 2 kills. One of those was just kind of a fantastic spam arrow where he got a Scott going through. Actually, it sounds like we are just going to be trying to get back on schedule. Pretty exciting how we were able to have a fantastic best of 3 here, but we are going to move forward. Quarantine Mass Damage heading into 7 as their next opponent. Eeply, though, some final thoughts from you on this matchup we just saw and what Bus Crew might be able to do in the lower bracket?
Yeah, I definitely think against more or less any of the other teams that are now going to be knocked down to the lower bracket, Busker's going to have a really good time. They're going to take a moment to, you know, kind of get another like ego-boosting game. Ideally, I'd love it if they could look back at this game, sort out a couple of their things, and then come back, you know, better and stronger in a few hours' time as they play against another one of these top-seeded teams.
Alba, some final thoughts?
Yeah, I just hope they take the opportunity to play a little bit worse of a team and then come back and maybe put up a battle against one of the better teams, like the invite teams.
Awesome. Well, that was a fantastic match that kicks off for day 2 here. And we have some more great action, though, as this upper bracket continues. Ascent EU versus Big Blokeland is going to be our next match. And, you know, we just got to swap the players in and out of the server real quick. Players are ready, though. So we're just going to take a quick break to swap in our other analysis crew. And don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We got some more excellent TF2 action coming your way from I-65. Joined once again by Eeply, but Dumb joining us now for the first time today. And Big Blokeland versus Ascent EU. I had a little bit of a chance to talk to some of the big blokes last night. Dumb, did you? I don't know if you got a chance to speak with them or just kind of your general thoughts on how their first day of matches went yesterday.
Oh yeah, I had like a short chat with a mildly drunk Mac, but it just shows like how they're approaching this land. They're really happy to be here. They want to make the best of it. They said they don't expect realistically to like take like a fight to the top 4. Maybe they want to at least try though, and they definitely want to beat everybody else. They want to have this 5th spot they got out of groups for the rest of the event as well. That's like their expectations. They really want to beat everybody else. They want to show that they can do it. And so far they've shown that they are certainly capable of it. They came into this like 7th, 8th seed, right? And somehow managed to get wins out of top 5 and Aura Electro, which isn't entirely expected. So they're on route for that 5th place finish here.
Yeah, I had a quick chat with Mac as well, and you know, he sort of said that kind of in their pre-land scrims that, you know, they're focused, but at the same time just kind of playing super relaxed and maybe didn't necessarily get great results on them. But then they're here and they're just as relaxed, but they're also a little bit more focused and paying attention. In the first group stage, they did walk out with 3 wins, 3 losses, and must have been another one in there because they played 7 games. Yeah, something in there. But Epley, do you think that this like best of 3 format here that we get into might suit them a little bit more as they try to get an upset on a team that's traditionally ranked higher than them?
Honestly, no. I honestly feel like a team like Big Bloke Clan, one of their strengths would have been some of the crazy stuff they were doing in best of ones in particular. I feel like they're definitely going into a game versus Ascent EU as the underdogs. But that being said, I think of all the top 4 teams, Ascent EU would be the team they are most likely to be able to beat, purely just because Ascent EU are slightly less coordinated in their current form. They keep changing up who where their calls are coming from. They keep kind of changing up certain key parts of how they're playing at the minute. They still have their fundamental play style, but they're changing up a few different things even over the course of LAN. So if there's any one of the top 4 teams, I think Big Bloke Clan really stand a chance of creating some kind of upset. It's probably going to be Ascent just because of that.
Yeah, that was sort of my impression yesterday from those top 4 teams, that Ascent EU, while you know everybody is holding all 4 of those teams in high regard, and there is a lot of parity there, it seemed like Ascent EU were kind of having some struggles yesterday. They certainly had some strong performances out of some people like Credu and Amps, but you know, just kind of results-wise, you know, maybe not what we expected. Dom, was there anything that you saw that you think that the big blokes could focus in on in order to exploit what maybe have been some missteps from Ascent EU?
I don't necessarily missteps by Ascent EU, because Ascent EU just had like a fairly weak start. They needed to find themselves at the first day. They had like the first few 1, 2, 3 maybe games that were not that great. They played Big Bloke Clan obviously as well, and that was only a close win for Ascent EU at the end of that. But like Epili said, like a longer series will favor Ascent EU, being the more established team, being able to adapt better, having a wider move pool in the disposal. So it should overall favor them, but if they can just play to their own strengths, and they've shown that they can do that here. They like played completely different styles between Aura and the Frenchie game at the end of last day, so they have shown adaptability. They need to be able to perform just like that on the fly in this best of 3 series.
Now, Big Bloke Clan is a team that some of our viewers might not be as familiar with. Epli, who do you think are the people that people should be looking for out of the Big Blokes?
So, I mean, Mac is significant on the team in that I believe a lot of the kind of calling and the kind of central game plan comes a lot from him. He's obviously, he could have games and has over the past day kind of had some big games, specifically on Demo Man, kind of, you know, getting that big damage as he's pushing forward. But I honestly feel like their scouts are really, really impressive. Like, we're living in a world where scouts for the top teams, like, they're all really, really good, but of all the kind of lower level scout combos, I mean, you know, initially I was going to be like, yeah, like the lower 4 invite teams, you know, kind of Sorix and Kunu were going to be like some of the best scout combo, but they had more difficulties, whereas these Big Bloke scouts are actually, they seem to be doing really, really well against competition which you wouldn't necessarily think otherwise. So I think kind of between their demo and their scouts, they're looking pretty solid as a unit, but I mean, it's really difficult. Like, you're against such kind of legendary players. Like, if you let the Finnish scout power combo get into their groove, like, it's still going to be so hard for them to kind of get any leverage.
We saw quite a bit of sniper from Credu yesterday in at least a few of those games. Dom, do you think that's a trend that we're going to see continue today?
I think it's always their plan B. Ascent obviously is like this aggressive powerhouse for sure, but that's always something they can fall back to, be it with Zebo on Scout or on Solly. It doesn't matter. They have always this Credu sniper that if the games were to slow down, they can really rely on it. However, with Big Bloke Clan, we also have on the other side Crayon and Zodiac, who are all really good in sniper. So it should be interesting to see how that matchup goes down and how teams play around their specific snipers.
So, Epli, I'm going to try to nail you down here. Do you think, you know, you were correct in that it was going to go 3 maps in that last series? You know, it seemed like you were going to be correct for most of that. And
well, you know, I get it.
Yeah, the last 15 minutes, things kind of swung away from your prediction. What do you think is going to happen here, though? Do you think the Big Blokes will be able to take one of the first 2 maps from Ascent EU?
I think if they can... Okay, I'm gonna make a prediction just because I think it's more interesting that way. I think I'm gonna go bold and say the only way it goes 3 maps is if one of the first 2 maps they can manage to make them play Badlands. I think if Big Blow can get Ascent onto Badlands, they've already seen how things happen in the ETFL Grand Finals, how Ascent, they can let games get away from them a little bit. They've still got a little bit of PTSD, right? And I think if they can get like a quick round on Badlands, they might be starting to get in Ascent's head and really like so much of that Grand Finals game came down to the mids, and if Big Blow Clan can kind of show up on some Badlands mids, that could be looking pretty good. I feel like, you know, a lot of the Ascent players, they say they don't dislike Badlands that much, but I feel like a lot of that is kind of talk of them being like, you know, we don't want to hate such a treasured map.
Right,
I feel like deep down their team which isn't super comfortable on it. So I feel like, yeah, if Big Blow Clan can make them play Badlands, I reckon we see 3 maps. Otherwise, I don't know. I got to have difficulty saying this is going to go like 3 maps against like that kind of competition.
Dom, do you kind of have similar feelings? I mean, both in the sense that Badlands might be a big map for the big blokes.
Yeah, and this matchup in general, I would say like a weak pick on the map pool would be where to strike for big bloke. And Badlands definitely is one of them. We've seen how the game against Seven went, and in the post-game interview, Amp said as well that it's really not a map they ever look forward to playing. They just have a lot of struggles coordinating on it in any meaningful way like they otherwise do. So unless they've massively stepped up in just a few days on Badlands specifically, it's going to be definitely one of the best maps for big blokes to try to strike to. However, Sen is aware of that. They try to avoid that as much as possible if they can. If at some point the bans come up and there's nothing else they really fear on this matchup, then Badlands is gone very quickly.
Now we've talked about the Kredu sniper, and seems that that's going to be an expected strategy out of Ascent EU. Do you think that the big blokes have practiced anything particular to deal with that? You know, will they run a counter sniper themselves? Spy is not the most popular choice to counter the sniper. Will they just focus on kind of the traditional tactics of 2 scouts, 2 soldiers, and then just bombing in to deal with that sniper? What are your thoughts?
I think we can expect a variety of things they can bust out here. They play